Phoenix Nights. Chapter 2899. Nobody would have thought that the devil that was hiding at the side and suddenly attacked Shaoqing was actually an incarnation. No wonder it wasn't a match for Shaoqing. A devil incarnation was already so powerful. The true body of the other party would definitely be much stronger. This caused Shaoqing's heart to feel heavy. If the other party's true body were to descend, he would surely be a formidable opponent. At this moment, the Iron-Blood Taoist used his Phoenix Tribulation to protect Guling and the others as they rushed over. "Stop wasting time, let's go down," Shaoqing directly spoke to everyone. At this moment, Guling and the others felt somewhat nervous. They were about to step onto the legendary ancient path of the human race. This ancient path was different from the one her father walked on in the past. Because they were about to step onto an ancient path that led to the primordial ancestral star. This was an incomparably ancient path of the human race. It was said that it could be traced back to the mythological era. Some even said that it could be traced back to the desolate era. In any case, even in the current era, there were still many legends regarding this ancient path. In the human realm, there were 5 great origins of life. The primordial ancestral star was definitely the most ancient origin of life. Perhaps, it was the place where life was born. However, there was no way to investigate this because everything seemed to have been buried in the endless passage of time. Shaoqing and the Iron-Blood Taoists brought Guling and the others as they descended from the sky, arriving before the ancient teleportation array. At this moment, the cultivators of the Qin clan no longer came to obstruct them. They seemed to have received some sort of order and began to retreat. Even though the Qin clan was an emperor clan, they wouldn't dare to go against the will of the world and become enemies with the various races and great sections. If they truly incurred the wrath of the masses, even an emperor clan wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. Seeing that the people of the Qin clan didn't come out to obstruct them, the others who were spectating also rushed over, wanting to step onto the ancient path. "Everyone, wait a moment!" More and more people rushed over from afar. There were major characters escorting their outstanding descendants over. Some rode on chariots, some rode on immortal birds, descending from the sky. For a period of time, the divine island was bustling with noise and excitement, as though it was a gathering of immortals. It had to be said that the current world of cultivation was truly flourishing. Some experts who had been in slumber since ancient times had come out. There were also geniuses who had been sealed by their clansmen in the previous era. In the previous era, when the Great Tribulation came, all the big powers in untainted land had left some backup plans. Some big clans and sects even sealed a group of outstanding descendants and disciples in advance, then broke the seal in the current era and came out to compete with the outstanding people of the current era. The talents and cultivation of the heroes of the untainted land were naturally incomparable to the heroes of the present age. In terms of overall strength, this group of people was stronger than the heroes of the present age. Of course, there were also many dark horses among the contemporary heroes who could compete with the heroes of the primeval universe. They were not weaker than the heroes of the primeval universe and were even stronger than them. No matter if it was the human realm or the heaven realm, they had both welcomed a great collision. That was the collision between the outstanding talents of the Great Desolate Era and the outstanding talents of the current era. During this period of time, the heaven realm and the human realm had produced a few existences who were so powerful that even the ancient monsters of the world trembled. The heaven realm had Gu Xie, Yuan Hua, the Wind Emperor, and so on. The human realm had Huang Tian, Wu Ju, Qin Yao, and so on. These people were extremely powerful. When they came out, they swept across the world and were almost invincible. The appearance of those people almost suffocated the heroes of this era. Of course, there were peerless figures in the current era who could compete with these people. However, the descendants of the 4 ancient clans of the southern wasteland were all in seclusion. Gu Fei of the East Domain was also in seclusion. The Zhao family of the ancients of the East Domain did not have any outstanding figures in the current era. However, some people said that there was a descendant of the human emperor who had been in slumber since ancient times and was about to wake up. However, this was only a rumor. The outstanding talents of the Dongfang family had almost been killed by Gu Fei. Even the experts of the older generation had died in the hands of Gu Fei. If it was not for the tyrant king of the East Sky, the family would have been destroyed by Gu Fei. The strength of the tyrant king of the East Sky was unquestionable. He was one of the few experts in the Dongfang family, and even the entire East Domain who could compete with Gu Fei. At this time, the outstanding talents of both the human realm and the heaven realm had arrived and entered the ancient teleportation array together. Then, Shaoqing and the others worked together to activate the teleportation array. On the silent ancient teleportation array, countless Dao patterns immediately emerged and interweaved into a Dao diagram. The void was distorted. Time and space seemed to be changing, giving people the illusion that time and space were in chaos. Swoosh! A powerful beam of light flashed, and everyone on the ancient teleportation array instantly vanished. They entered a passageway and traversed through the starry skies. This speed was simply too fast. One must know that they were traversing through the starry skies. The human realm evolved after the collapse of the great desolate world. The turbid air condensed into stars, and the clear air evolved into the void. It could be said that the current human realm was much larger than the great desolate world. The collapse of the great desolate world caused the void to expand due to the mighty power. No one knew where the end of the starry sky of the human realm was. Perhaps only the extreme path supremes could reach the end of the endless starry sky. Even great sages and even saints would lose their way in the endless starry sky. They might never find the way back to the ancestral planet of life. Gu Ling did not know how many cold and lifeless starry sky they had crossed. After an unknown amount of time, she suddenly felt the void around her tremble. Then, they appeared on a huge altar. This is... Gu Ling looked around and saw Zhao Hao Yener and Meng Long beside her. They were all looking around curiously and in shock. "You're the daughter of Gu Fei." Humph. At this time, someone looked at Gu Ling with bad intentions. "Gu Fei's daughter? Why is she covering her face? Is she too ashamed to face others?" Someone said unscrupulously. "Let me take off my mask and see what Gu Fei's daughter looks like." "Ha!" Someone laughed wantonly. "Impudent! Do you know what you're doing?" Meng Long took a step forward and stared coldly at a white-robed young cultivator. "Humph, this is the ancient road of the human race. Do you think we're afraid of Gu Fei?" The white-robed young cultivator's cold eyes swept over Gu Ling and the others with a disdainful expression. Some people saw that the situation was not right and immediately dispersed. Some were gloating, happy to see others deal with Gu Fei's daughter and his disciples. However, some people were very cautious. One should know that Gu Fei was not someone to be trifled with. Moreover, he was very protective. Offending such a ruthless person would result in serious consequences. This ancient altar was actually an ancient teleportation formation. There were 5 smaller teleportation formations in 5 different directions on the altar. Those were 5 different ancient roads that led to different places. Through these 5 teleportation formations, cultivators would be able to set foot on the starting point of the 5 ancient roads. Even cultivators from the Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star could set foot on the ancient road leading back to the Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star. Shaoqing and Iron-Blood Taoists did not set foot on the ancient road of the human race. Without Shaoqing and Iron-Blood Taoists' protection, some people immediately jumped out to provoke Gu Ling and the others. One should know that many of the cultivators who set foot on the ancient road of the human race were from the primordial Zhao family and Dongfang family, or cultivators who were close to these 2 great forces. Most of the cultivators chose to set foot on the ancient road of the human race. They activated the teleportation formation and set foot on the ancient road of their choice. There were also some who stayed behind to watch the show. Humph, it's inevitable that some geniuses and outstanding talents will fall on the ancient road of the human race. A black-robed middle-aged man walked out from the crowd and sneered at Gu Ling and the others. His eyes were filled with viciousness. "That's right. Even if we kill you, Gu Fei can't say anything about it," the white-robed young cultivator added. "You guys are really shameless." Gu Ling coldly looked at the two people in front of her and said coldly. At this moment, the surrounding people were extremely shocked. Are these two fellows going to kill Gu Ling? This is definitely a heaven-piercing matter. One should know that Gu Ling was Gu Fei's most beloved daughter. If Gu Ling was killed, Gu Fei would definitely retaliate crazily. Even Ghost Emperor Fengdu would not be able to stop him. It's not that we're shameless, it's just that you guys have reached the end. Ha! Another person walked out from the crowd and laughed loudly. Dongfang family. Gu Ling's eyes narrowed when she sensed the energy ripples coming from this person. That's right. I'm from the Dongfang family. So what? That person stared at Gu Ling and said with a sinister smile. Cut the crap. It's time to send these people on their way. You're not even a sage yet you dare to step on the ancient road of the human race. Aren't you courting death? The black-robed middle-aged man sneered. Hearing the words of the black-robed middle-aged man, the surrounding people were displeased. This was because most of the people who stepped on the ancient road of the human race were not sages. Some of them weren't even immortals. All right. The white-robed young man extended his hand and grabbed towards Gu Ling and the others. Humph. Gu Ling took a step forward and slapped his right palm towards the incoming hand of the white-robed young man. A dazzling flame rushed out from his palm. Immortal level power! The white-robed young man smirked. This fella is really courting death. I'm a sage. The other party is using immortal level power to fight me. If this isn't courting death, then what is? Bam! Gu Ling's palm collided with the white-robed young man's hand. In the next moment, the expression of the white-robed young man changed. Gotcha! The sound of bones cracking could be heard. The white-robed young man was sent flying and landed thousands of feet away. He staggered and almost fell to the ground. His right arm was bent in a weird way. The bones in his arm were obviously broken. My hand, my cultivation! Yi Futian muttered. They can't save you either. After saying that, Gu Ling took a step forward and instantly disappeared. In the next moment, she appeared above the white-robed young man's head and stomped down on him. An incomparably powerful immortal-level power surged down from Gu Ling's right foot, causing the void to tremble. There seemed to be bolts of lightning flashing beneath her feet. Gu Ling's attack was too fast, and the white-robed youth had no time to dodge. He could only raise his uninjured left arm to block the attack, protecting his head. Bang! Gu Ling's right foot landed on the left arm of the white-robed youth. Gotcha! The white-robed youth's left arm was immediately broken. In the next moment, her right foot landed on the white-robed youth's head. Violent power erupted in an instant, and the white-robed youth's body immediately emitted a popping sound. Flowers of blood blossomed from his body. In just an instant, the white-robed youth's life force was severed by Gu Ling's stomp. Even his primordial spirit was shattered, and blood seeped out of his 7 orifices. At this moment, the black-clothed middle-aged man's attack just happened to arrive. With a wave of his hand, a dark light shot out from his hand, piercing towards Gu Ling. Gu Ling somersaulted backwards and leapt up, dodging the piercing black light. Before her feet even touched the ground, she took out a copper mace and smashed it towards the black-clothed middle-aged man who was attacking her. "TCH, you dare to take out a crappy bronze mace? Aren't you afraid of being laughed at?" The black-clothed middle-aged man sneered. At this moment, the dark light had already returned, blocking the incoming bronze mace. Only then did the white-robed youth collapse. Large amounts of snow seeped out of his body, making him look like a pile of mud. Clearly, Gu Ling's stomp had shattered all the bones and organs in the white-robed youth's body. Clang! Gu Ling's bronze mace directly smashed against the dark light. The dark light actually collapsed in an instant, turning into countless flashes of light that dissipated into the air. The black-clothed middle-aged man was the first to bear the brunt of the attack. He was hit by the countless flashes of light, causing sparks to fly. He hurriedly covered his face and retreated. How is this possible? The black-clothed middle-aged man immediately retreated hundreds of meters away. A few bloody scars appeared on his face, left behind by the fragments of the dark light when it collapsed. He was extremely shocked. He glanced at the white-clothed middle-aged man on the ground in the distance, and couldn't help but be shaken. It was hard to imagine that Gu Ling had actually killed a saint. Although his cultivation was suppressed and his saint-level physique was also completely suppressed, the white-robed youth was still a saint. How could he be killed so easily? At that moment, even the spectating cultivators felt their hearts pounding. Their jaws dropped as they stared in disbelief at the scene before them. Humph, you're all just people who rely on their higher cultivation to bully the weak. In a battle of the same level, you guys aren't even fit to carry my shoes. Gu Ling pointed the bronze mace in her hand at the black-clothed middle-aged man. Is that so? At this moment, the disciple of the Dongfang clan finally walked over. A powerful immortal aura emanated from his body, giving off a powerful and domineering feeling. Come, who wants to kill me? Come, save me the trouble of finding you one by one. Come, all of you, come at me together. Gu Ling glanced at all the spectating cultivators and said these words. What an arrogant little girl! A white-haired old man walked out from the crowd. His eyes were as cold as the stars and his steps were majestic. His entire body was filled with a violent aura, as if this old man wasn't a human, but a ferocious beast. I also want to meet Gu Fei's daughter. A voice rang out from the crowd. Then, a young man shrouded in black energy walked out. A cold and gloomy aura emanated from his body, causing the surrounding temperature to drop rapidly. Chapter 2901. Gu Fei had a lot of enemies, but those who dared to attack Gu Fei's daughter, Gu Ling, were few. This was because no one was willing to provoke this monster. Even the Dongfang clan and the Zhao clan were afraid of Gu Fei. On the ancient altar on the human race's ancient road, Gu Ling seemed to have become the public enemy. People kept coming out from the crowd, wanting to challenge him. Although it sounded like a challenge, it was actually a group fight. Gu Ling's battle prowess was too great, and no one had the confidence to defeat her in a one-on-one fight. Therefore, no one chose to challenge her. This, Zhao Hao Yener and Meng Long were both shocked and enraged by what was happening. They wanted to help, but were stopped by Gu Ling. Humph, just a bunch of clowns. I alone am enough to sweep this trash away. Gu Ling glanced at the people coming out from the crowd and spoke with incomparable confidence. These people were all hostile toward her. If she could deal with them all in one go, it would save her a lot of trouble on the ancient road of the human race. Little girl, you're too arrogant. You actually don't put the people of the world in your eyes. The white-haired old man stared at Gu Ling as he spoke coldly. A cold light flashed through his eyes as a chilling, killing intent radiated from his body. Ha, what a joke! An old man like you can represent the cultivators of the world? You really think too highly of yourself. Gu Ling laughed. You! The old man was infuriated and narrowed his eyes. His gaze was like that of a viper as he stared at Gu Ling. Who else wants to kill me? If you do, then hurry up and come out. Otherwise, you won't have the chance. Gu Ling glanced at the cultivators coming out from the crowd and said expressionlessly. At this time, there were already 30 to 40 cultivators coming out from the crowd. These were people who had great enmity with Gu Fei, their fellow brothers, or other relatives. These people didn't dare to find Gu Fei for revenge, but they dared to attack Gu Ling. After Gu Ling said those words, another 7 or 8 cultivators walked out from the crowd. After that, no one else walked out from the crowd. However, Gu Ling knew that there were still people in the crowd who were filled with hostility towards him. However, those people did not step out at this moment. All right, all of you can come at me together. Gu Ling glanced at the crowd and waved the bronze truncheon in her hand. A powerful aura erupted from her body. The fire essence was vast and mighty. Her entire body was like a divine flame that was pulsating. A heatwave spread out from Gu Ling's body, sweeping towards the surrounding cultivators. The powerful battle intent emanating from Gu Ling's body caused everyone's hearts to tremble. Master! Yener couldn't help but feel nervous when she saw Gu Ling surrounded by a group of cultivators. One had to know that there were dozens of powerful immortals here. Although there was a mysterious force on the ancient altar that suppressed the cultivation of all the experts above the immortal realm to the immortal realm, it was still difficult for two fists to fight against four hands. If these tens of cultivators were to attack together, even Gu Ling would be in danger of dying. "You must have confidence in senior sister," Zhao Hao said. He was from the Zhao clan of the Desolates, but he was a disciple of Gu Fei. He was Yenner's uncle master. Yenner was very depressed about this uncle master Zhao Hao. This guy was clearly around the same age as her, but he had become her uncle master. In fact, Meng Long was even more depressed. He was much older than Zhao Hao, so he had to address Zhao Hao as uncle master as well. Not bad. These fellas are definitely no match for uncle master." Meng Long nodded. He knew that no one could harm Gu Ling's life. "Kill!" Suddenly, the black-robed old man bellowed and charged towards Gu Ling. The energy ripples of an immortal god burst out from his body. He slapped his right hand forward, and a black dragon immediately rushed out from his hand, pouncing towards Gu Ling. With the black-robed old man taking the lead, the others also made their moves. Dozens of magical weapons were smashed towards Gu Ling. Each of them was glowing with a dazzling divine light. However, to everyone's disbelief, even the power of their magic weapons was being suppressed. Their powerful sacred weapons could not unleash the power they should have at all. "Damn it! Just who is it that caused such a thing?" someone roared. However, as soon as that fellow shouted, a thunderclap exploded above everyone's head. After that, a bolt of lightning struck down from the sky and blasted that unlucky fellow into a bloody mist. Both his body and soul were destroyed. Everyone was shocked when they saw this scene, and they were extremely shocked. Could it be that this ancient sacrificial altar has some sort of will? At this time, a great battle broke out. Gu Ling punched out, scattering the black dragon that was pouncing towards him. Then, he swung the bronze truncheon in his hand, smashing all the magical weapons that came his way. The broken pieces fell into the crowd. "Disperse! Disperse quickly!" the black-robed old man shouted anxiously. However, it was too late. Cries of agony could be heard. The cultivators were sent flying by the truncheon in Gu Ling's hand. All of them were severely injured. Some of them were even killed by Gu Ling's truncheon. Even their primordial spirits couldn't escape. "A bunch of fools!" the black-robed old man roared as he attacked with all his might. 9 black dragons rushed out of his body, howling and brandishing their claws as they pounced towards Gu Ling. "Why did this black dragon great sage kill Gu Ling?" Someone recognized the origin of the black-clothed old man. He was a powerful great sage, but at this time, his cultivation was also suppressed to the immortal god realm. "I heard that one of his brothers died in the hands of Gu Fei," someone said. "What?" Many people were surprised. It turned out that this black dragon great sage was an expert of the eastern region. Back when Supremacy South Heaven rebelled, many people died. All the followers of Supremacy South Heaven were killed by Gu Fei. That brother of the black dragon great sage had sought refuge with Supremacy South Heaven. As a result, that brother of the black dragon great sage died in the hands of Gu Fei. Because of that, the black dragon great sage left the eastern region and no one knew where he went. Who would have thought that the black dragon great sage would blend in with the crowd, come to this ancient altar, and attack Gu Ling? There was no hatred in this world for no reason. The black dragon great sage wanted to kill Gu Ling because he wanted revenge. The others also wanted to kill Gu Ling for the same reason. At this time, Gu Ling displayed her prowess. 9 fire dragons rushed out from her body and collided with the 9 black dragons of the black dragon great sage. Chapter 2902. The combat strength displayed by the black dragon great sage was also extremely tyrannical. He directly leaped up and attacked Gu Ling. "Roar!" The black dragon great sage let out a long roar, and a terrifying sound wave instantly spread out. Transparent ripples appeared in the void, and dozens of cultivators immediately staggered back. Although this sound-killing technique was not aimed at those cultivators, the cultivators besieging Gu Ling also felt their minds shake. Some of them even had their ears bleed from the shock. Gu Ling, who bore the brunt of the attack, only felt a buzzing sound. She hurriedly used the 8 desolation steps and retreated like a phantom. Bang! At this moment, a huge black dragon claw descended from the sky and fiercely slammed into the place where she was originally standing, causing the ground to tremble. A powerful force spread out, and the cultivators who wanted to gang up on Gu Ling were once again pushed back. Black Dragon, are you crazy? The expert from the Dongfang family roared. This black dragon had no scruples when he attacked, and even they were affected. This was too abominable. The expert from the Dongfang family used sword chi to protect himself and directly attacked Gu Ling. A bunch of idiots. If you don't want to die, then scram, the Black Dragon Great Sage said disdainfully. In fact, his cultivation was even higher than Xiaoqing's. The reason he came here was because he had his eyes on Gu Ling and the others. You! Many people were angry. This guy was too much. No matter what, they were on the same side. Don't come out to die if you don't have the ability. Am I wrong? The Black Dragon said loudly. He did not show any mercy. At the same time, he leaped up again and fiercely pounced on Gu Ling. Those who wanted to gang up on Gu Ling were shocked and angry when they heard this. Some of them directly retreated. Those who could intervene, including the Black Dragon Great Sage and the Dongfang family Sword Sage, were actually only 7 or 8 people. Ganging up on Gu Ling was just a method that the weak thought they could use to deal with her. However, once they started fighting, it was not the case at all. A true expert would be afraid of being ganged up on. A tiger would always be a tiger, and a lamb would always be a lamb. No matter how many lambs there were, it was impossible for them to defeat a tiger. This was the truth of the law of the jungle. A huge battle broke out. Even though the Sword Sage of the Dongfang family had his cultivation base suppressed to the immortal god realm, his sword chi was still able to sweep across the place. The brilliant sword light tore through the void and collided with Gu Ling's palm continuously. Gu Ling was a martial artist, so his martial body was extremely strong. He could actually use his flesh and blood to resist the sharp sword energy of his opponent. At the same time that she blocked the sword chi of the Dongfang family's sword saint, she swept the bronze truncheon in her right hand horizontally, smashing the 3 magic treasures that bombarded her to pieces. The 3 powerhouses' faces suddenly changed, and they flew back. Their natal magic treasures had been destroyed, and they had also suffered a great impact. Azure Dragon Claw! Black Dragon Great Sage bellowed as he descended from the sky. A black dragon claw the size of a hill appeared on his right hand, and he grabbed Gu Ling's head. Humph, you dare to use the Dragon Clan's battle skill in front of me? Gu Ling smiled. She was very familiar with the battle skills of the Dragon Clan. After all, she had an uncle who was the lord of the Dragon Clan. Soaring Fire Dragon! Gu Ling also bellowed. His left hand slapped away the sword light of the Sword Sage, and he slapped upwards with his palm. A fire dragon immediately rushed out of his palm, and collided with the black dragon claw that descended from the sky. Boom! The void shook. The fire dragon that Gu Ling struck out instantly exploded with the black dragon claw. The 2 forces intertwined and turned into a powerful storm that swept out in all directions. Kill! Black Dragon Great Sage was extremely ferocious. He directly broke through the storm and swooped down from the sky. A vague shadow of a dragon appeared on his body, exuding a powerful pressure. Gu Ling was a little surprised. This guy's battle strength had exceeded her expectations. Poisonous Dragon Heart-Piercing Kick! Black Dragon Great Sage put his feet together, and his whole body spun rapidly like a top. His legs seemed to have turned into a divine spear, piercing towards Gu Ling below. Although Black Dragon Great Sage was not a real dragon, he had the blood of a real dragon in his body. Whether it was cultivation or physique, he was far stronger than an ordinary cultivator. However, he was now facing Gu Ling. Under the situation where both of their cultivation were suppressed to the immortal realm, a warrior who was known to be invincible in the same realm could definitely sweep away all the cultivators of the same realm. Look at my fire dragon fist! Gu Ling transferred the bronze mace in her right hand to her left hand. Then, she lowered her body into a horse stance and punched upwards with her right fist. A shadow of a dragon immediately rushed out of her fist and collided with the poisonous dragon heart-piercing kick of Black Dragon Great Sage. Black Dragon Great Sage was sent flying high into the sky, while Gu Ling remained motionless like an immortal mountain. However, just as Gu Ling was about to send the Black Dragon Great Sage flying with a punch, a golden ray instantly pierced through the space between her eyebrows and was about to stab into her forehead. At this critical moment, Gu Ling's body suddenly became blurry, as if she was about to merge with the surrounding void. The sword light directly pierced through Gu Ling's forehead. It was as if it had pierced the air, and there was no place for it to exert any force. What? The sword saint of the Dongfang family who sneakily attacked Gu Ling was shocked. Just as the sword saint made his move, the others also made their moves. A black phoenix rushed over, emitting a mystical true fire that burned the void. Someone performed a great technique, conjured an ancient Qilin divine beast and pounced towards Gu Ling. Immortal light blossomed and turned into rays of rainbow light, piercing towards Gu Ling. Gu Ling was instantly drowned by all kinds of attacks. However, in the next moment, Gu Ling's figure suddenly appeared in front of the sword saint, and the bronze mace in her hand directly smashed down on the sword saint's head. This? The sword saint was shocked, and he hurriedly used his sword light to block the attack. Clang! The bronze mace in Gu Ling's hand directly smashed the sword light, and the bronze mace directly landed on the sword saint's head. With a pft, the sword saint's head was split open. Even his primordial spirit could not escape. A powerful sword saint was smashed to death by Gu Ling's mace just like that. Everyone could not help but be shocked at this scene. One must know that this was a sword saint. It was too unjust for him to die like this, because he could not use his sage-level cultivation at all. Chapter 2903. The bronze mace in Gu Ling's hand was definitely not simple. Many people could tell that the ancient sacrificial altar was littered with broken pieces of celestial weapons. These broken magic weapons were all smashed by the bronze truncheon in Gu Ling's hand. Now, even the sword of the Dongfang family's sword saint had been smashed. Moreover, the bronze truncheon had smashed his head, killing him instantly. Naturally, the sword saint of the Dongfang family died a very sullen and unjust death. This was because he was unable to display his true combat strength. The ancient sacrificial altar was shrouded by an unknown power that could suppress everyone's cultivation base to the immortal realm. It was not a legend that a cultivator was invincible in the same realm. Therefore, the unlucky sword sage of the Dongfang family was really unlucky. He was smashed to death by Gu Ling's mace. This was not a fake death, but a real death. Even his primordial spirit couldn't escape. You! Seeing Gu Ling smash the sword sage to death in an instant, even the Black Dragon Great Sage felt a little uneasy at this moment. Gu Ling's combat strength could be said to be invincible in the same realm. The others put away their treasures and quietly retreated. There was no one who wasn't afraid of death, especially cultivators. If they were killed, then they would truly disappear from this world. They wouldn't even be able to become ghosts. Come and meet your death. Gu Ling held the bronze mace, and said coldly to the Black Dragon Great Sage. Preposterous! The Black Dragon Great Sage knew that if the battle continued, he would probably follow in the footsteps of the Sword Sage and be killed by this little girl. Such a way of death was not worth it. Roar! The Black Dragon Great Sage stared at Gu Ling and suddenly roared. A black light rushed out from his forehead and turned into another Black Dragon Great Sage, attacking Gu Ling. Incarnation. Gu Ling couldn't help but be startled. She didn't expect the Black Dragon Great Sage to cultivate an incarnation at the immortal realm. One should know that on this ancient sacrificial altar, all the cultivators could only use immortal realm cultivation methods. However, when Gu Ling attacked the Black Dragon Great Sage's incarnation, the Black Dragon Great Sage directly rushed to a teleportation formation beside the ancient sacrificial altar. The cultivators who wanted to gang up on Gu Ling saw this and immediately realized that the Black Dragon Great Sage was going to run away. Even the Black Dragon Great Sage had fled. If they didn't flee, wouldn't they be courting death? All of a sudden, human silhouettes flickered. The other cultivators also hurriedly rushed toward the small teleportation portals around the altar, intending to set foot on the ancient road of the human tribe. You want to escape? Gu Ling used a battle technique to directly blast apart the avatar of Black Dragon Great Sage. She then attacked him. She threw a punch and a fire dragon immediately rushed out from her fist and pounced at Black Dragon Great Sage. The fire dragon soared into the sky and arrived in an instant. A terrifying heat wave spread out, and even the void was distorted by the heat. However, the Black Dragon Great Sage had already activated the transportation formation. With a flash of divine light, the Black Dragon Great Sage disappeared from the transportation formation platform. Humph! Gu Ling was infuriated. Furthermore, she noticed that the Black Dragon Great Sage was walking on the ancient path that led to the primordial ancestral star, which made her feel a little gloomy. At this time, Gu Ling continued to attack. Rays of fiery light shot out from her body and turned into resplendent sword light, directly killing all the other cultivators who had rushed to the teleportation formation before they could activate the formation. The fiery sword light pierced through the cultivators' bodies and instantly burned them to ashes. Even their primordial spirits were burned into smoke. Little Three was left in the void. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. This daughter of Gu Fei was incredible. She was decisive and had the shadow of her father. Among the crowd, there were still people who were hostile towards Gu Ling. However, they dared not make a move. No one could compete with Gu Ling when their cultivation base was suppressed to the immortal realm. Even the incomparably powerful Black Dragon Great Sage had retreated. Haha, congratulations on your victory, senior sister. At this time, Xiao Hao laughed and walked towards Gu Ling. Yener and Meng Long quickly followed. The ancient road of the human race was full of dangers. Many geniuses and outstanding cultivators might fall on the road. No one dared to say that they would definitely reach the end. Even among the heroes of ancient times, not many people could reach the end. Some people turned back halfway, but even more people died on the ancient road, never to return. Master, what should we do? Yener said. She was an extremely intelligent girl. She had already predicted that there would be countless dangers along the way, because the Black Dragon Great Sage had also walked on the ancient road to the ancestral primeval star. Humph, let's continue. I don't care if he's the Black Dragon Great Sage or the Black Dragon Little Sage. If he dares to block my path, I'll turn him into a Black Dragon Death Sage. Gu Ling said indifferently. Master Uncle, should we go now? Meng Long looked at Gu Ling and said nervously. No hurry. After saying that, Gu Ling walked to the side and sat down cross-legged. This? Yener and Xiao Hao looked at each other in confusion, but they didn't say anything. They walked up to Gu Ling and sat down behind her. Everyone saw this scene and didn't know what Gu Ling was going to do. Those who stayed to watch the battle saw the end of the battle and set foot on the ancient road. The 5 small teleportation formations around the ancient altar continuously burst with divine light, sending the cultivators away. Soon, the countless cultivators who had gathered on the ancient sacrificial altar left. I will guard here for 10 days, so that no one from the Dongfang family will set foot on the ancient road of the human race. Gu Ling suddenly raised her head and said, What? Some of the cultivators who hadn't left were shocked. It seemed that this time, the outstanding cultivators from the Dongfang family who wanted to set foot on the ancient road were going to be out of luck. Haha, senior sister, good, that's how it should be. Xiao Hao laughed. Whoosh! At this moment, a figure appeared on the ancient sacrificial altar, looking around blankly. He's here. Little Hao you go. Gu Ling said. Good, it's finally my turn. I'll finish him off. When Xiao Hao heard this, he immediately stood up from the ground and directly strode towards the young cultivator who had just appeared. Judging from the aura emitted from the young cultivator in white, Xiao Hao knew that he was a true disciple of the Dongfang family. Fellow Taoist! The young man in white quickly cupped his fists when he saw Zhao Hao walking toward him and wanted to say something. However, before he could finish speaking, a fist directly smashed into his right eye, causing his vision to darken and his head to spin. I'm not your fellow Taoist. Chapter 2904. Gu Ling wanted to guard the ancient altar for 10 days to prevent the people of the Dongfang family from setting foot on the ancient road of the human race. This news shocked all the experts who knew about it. This ancient altar was the starting point of the ancient road of the human race. The enormous altar floated in the void, as far as the eye could see, like a continent floating in the unknown starry sky. Around the altar, there were 5 small-scale teleportation arrays. For this altar, the teleportation arrays were very small, but for cultivators, these 5 teleportation arrays were bigger than mountains. At this time, people kept appearing on the ancient altar. Not only the Eastern Domain, but every other domain on the soaring ancestral star also had a teleportation formation that led to the altar. Gu Ling sat cross-legged to the side. She would not attack the other cultivators, but she would not allow the disciples of the Dongfang family to set foot on the ancient road of the human race. Unfortunately, there was no teleportation formation on the ancient altar that could send people back. Therefore, a group of cultivators appeared on the other side of the altar. Moreover, more and more of these cultivators appeared, and all of them had the same characteristic. They were all lying on the ground with bruises all over their faces and broken bones. They could not even stand up. All the cultivators who came to the ancient altar were curious when they saw the group of injured cultivators, but no one dared to meddle. Many people directly set foot on the ancient road of their choice. Curiosity not only killed the cat, but it could also kill the person. Those who dared to set foot on the ancient road of the human race were all extremely shrewd people. If they could not even handle their own matters, wouldn't they be looking for trouble by meddling in the affairs of others? Brother Gu Ling, you've crossed the line. Among the injured cultivators, a black-bearded middle-aged man stared at a figure sitting cross-legged on the ground and said coldly, "If looks could kill, that person would have died countless times over." "Humph, you've crossed the line. I'm already being kind enough not to kill all of you." Gu Ling did not speak, but Meng Long, who was sitting behind her, stood up. "What? Don't you think you've been beaten up enough?" Zhao Hao stood up as well. In fact, Gu Ling did not make any moves these days. The ones who beat up the people from the Dongfang family were Zhao Hao and Meng Long. Meng Long's combat experience was pretty good, and he had the demeanor of an expert. Zhao Hao, on the other hand, appeared to be a little immature, but his mind was very mature. Although he was young, he could already hold his own. On the other hand, Gu Ling's disciple, Yan did not make a move. It was not that she did not want to make a move, but according to her, none of the people present were worthy of her making a move. To the cultivators of the Dongfang family, this was an absolute humiliation. "What is the meaning of this? Are you trying to stop everyone from stepping onto the ancient road of the human race?" The black-bearded middle-aged man said sternly. "TSK, who do you think you are? You actually dare to represent the people of the world? I'm not afraid to tell you that we're only targeting the Dongfang clan. Do you know that only members of the Dongfang clan are not allowed to step onto the ancient road of the human race?" Meng Long said disdainfully. "Damn it, why? Could it be that you dare to ignore the decree of Ghost Emperor Fendu?" The black-bearded middle-aged man said coldly. "Ghost Emperor Plentiful Do, how did this matter involve Ghost Emperor Plentiful Do?" Zhao Hao said indifferently. "Ghost Emperor Fengdu once mediated with our 2 families. Your family's elders didn't tell you about this matter." The black-bearded middle-aged man said hatefully. I'm still young. I really didn't hear about it from my family's elders." "What's wrong?" Zhao Hao shrugged and said disapprovingly. "You guys." The black-bearded middle-aged man was obviously angered. His face turned red as he coughed out a mouthful of blood. He was truly angered to the point of coughing out blood. "Who can you blame for this?" Meng Long glanced at the people of the Dongfang family in disdain and said. The people of the Dongfang family were speechless. They had long heard of some things. It seemed that a sage from their family wanted to kill Gu Ling, but was killed by Gu Ling here. Some of the people who witnessed the battle had yet to leave. Among them, there were some who disdained the actions of the sage from the Dongfang family, and caused trouble for their family. As for the group of disciples of the Dongfang family who were beaten up so badly by Zhao Hao and Meng Long, they were so depressed that they wanted to vomit blood. Swoosh! At this moment, a few more figures appeared on the ancient sacrificial altar. The one in the lead was an old man with white hair and a youthful complexion. Behind this old man stood 3 young men. These 3 young men were all outstanding and had extraordinary auras. Their bodies emitted a mighty aura. This is bad. The group of people from the Dongfang family were shocked to see the old man and the 3 young men. This old man was one of the elders of the Dongfang family. This elder escorted the 3 geniuses of the Dongfang family to the ancient sacrificial altar. Just as the 4 experts of the Dongfang family appeared on the ancient sacrificial altar, Yen, who had been meditating with her eyes closed, suddenly opened her eyes and stood up. Zhao Hao and Meng Long were surprised to see Yen, who had not made a move yet, stand up. "Leave the old man to me. I'll leave the rest to you," Yen said. At this time, the elder of the Dongfang family was shocked to the extreme when he saw the disciples of the Dongfang family being beaten up miserably. "You guys, what exactly happened?" the elder of the Dongfang family said angrily. "Ancestor, you have to help us. That Gu Ling is too overbearing. How could he not let us step onto the ancient road of the human race?" The disciples of the Dongfang family immediately shouted when they saw the elder. "Gu Ling!" The elder of the Dongfang family immediately scanned the surroundings and found Gu Ling, Yen, and the others who were sitting cross-legged on the ground. "Little doll, do you want to start a war?" The elder of the Dongfang family stared at Gu Ling and said coldly. His eyes flickered with a sharp light. At this time, the elder of the Dongfang family did not realize that his cultivation base had been completely suppressed to the immortal realm. The other 3 geniuses of the Dongfang family also did not realize it. One had to admit that the suppressive force on the ancient sacrificial altar was extraordinary. It had silently suppressed the cultivation base of all the experts above the immortal realm. "So what if we declare war? It's not like we're afraid of the Dongfang family," Zhao Hao said coldly. Facing the elder of the Dongfang family, he did not show any signs of backing down. He was just as domineering as his master, Gu Fei. Like master, like disciple, this sentence was indeed not wrong. "Humph, a puny immortal dares to act so insolently in front of me? You're courting death." Chapter 2905. The Dongfang family elder and the 3 prodigies looked at Gu Ling and the others with disdain. These people were only at the immortal god realm, yet they dared to challenge them. Were they courting death? "I really have to admire your courage," the elder of the Dongfang family said, giving off an air of superiority as he looked down on Gu Ling and the others. It was as if he was the ruler of the world, looking down on ants on the ground. The Dongfang family elder was putting on airs, but he did not know that Gu Ling and the others were also looking at them with the same attitude. "I also have to admire your courage." Zhao Hao looked at the arrogant Dongfang family elder and said with a smile that didn't seem like a smile, "You're courting death." The Dongfang family elder's face darkened as he heard this. He extended his hand and grabbed towards Zhao Hao. However, in the next moment, he noticed to his shock that the hand that was condensed from the laws of the Grand Tao didn't appear, and it shocked him greatly. "What's going on?" The Dongfang family elder was in disbelief. In the next moment, a fist rapidly enlarged in front of his eyes. Bam! The fist landed heavily on his right eye socket. "Ouch!" The Dongfang family elder cried out in pain. His vision turned black and he fell backwards involuntarily. If it wasn't for the 3 prodigies from the Dongfang family supporting him, he would have fallen to the ground. "How is this possible?" The 3 prodigies from the Dongfang family were dumbfounded. The ants in their eyes had actually hit a giant dragon. This was simply unbelievable. "Humph, look at you guys acting all high and mighty. Turns out that you can't even withstand a single blow." Zhao Hao looked at the Dongfang family elders with disdain and said coldly, "He's mine!" Yenna was a little displeased to see Zhao Hao attack. "Oh, my hands were itching for a fight. Sorry." Zhao Hao hurriedly apologized. Although he was Yenner's junior uncle in name, he was actually very afraid of Yenner. This was because he was no match for Yenner and was often beaten up badly by her. What the hell is going on? The elder of the Dongfang family was both shocked and angry. With his cultivation, how could he be hit by a puny immortal spirit? How could a puny immortal spirit hurt him? At this moment, the Dongfang family elder's right eye was bruised and the pain was unbearable. This was simply impossible. One had to know that this Dongfang family elder was a saint emperor. Even if he stood still and allowed an immortal god realm cultivator to attack him, he wouldn't be injured. All of this was beyond the knowledge of the Dongfang family. "Ancestor, this ancient sacrificial altar can suppress cultivation." At this moment, the disciples of the Dongfang family who had been taught a lesson by Zhao Hao and Meng Long hurriedly spoke up to remind them. "What? Suppressing his cultivation base? Why did you only say it now? How preposterous!" The three heroes from the Dongfang family glanced at the disabled members of the Dongfang family. The cultivators from the Dongfang family were speechless. It was only now that they had the chance to speak. This was too unfair. Suppressing his cultivation? How could this be? The Dongfang family elder exclaimed in disbelief. He stared at Zhao Hao with a venomous gaze. To him, this was a great humiliation. No one could answer his question because no one knew why the ancient sacrificial altar had such an unfathomable power that could suppress the cultivation base of experts. Even the Saint Emperor's cultivation base was completely suppressed to the immortal god realm. Even the incomparably powerful Saint Emperor's body was reduced to that of an immortal god. This kind of suppressive power was simply heaven-defying. Even the Dongfang family elder had never heard of such a suppressive power. "All right, you come." Yan walked up and pointed at the Dongfang family elder. "Let me experience the Dongfang family's battle techniques and killing arts. Let's see what gives you the right to be so arrogant." Yanner's tone was very relaxed. She didn't put the Dongfang family elder in her eyes at all. "Since you're courting death, I'll grant your wish." The Dongfang family elder stared at Yanner viciously. He had such confidence. One should know that he had cultivated for a much longer time than Yenner. His battle experience was incomparably rich. Even though his cultivation base was suppressed to the immortal god realm, he was still confident that he could kill these young fellows. Sometimes, living for a long time was also an advantage. "Ancestor, we'll do it. There's no need to use a butcher's knife to kill a chicken." The three elites of the Dongfang family behind the old man said. They were eager to give it a try and attack. "That's enough. All of you, get out of the way." The Dongfang family elder stared at Yenner, who was walking towards him step by step. He was shocked to find that her footsteps seemed to resonate with the heaven and earth. Yes. The three geniuses of the Dongfang family nodded in response before retreating. Swoosh. At this moment, Yenner didn't say anything else. Her silhouette suddenly became blurry. In the blink of an eye, she drifted forward like a wisp of smoke. As she waved her sleeves, green leaves filled with vitality flew up. These were formed from the pure Imu essence of the immortal realm. The leaves seemed to be drifting casually, but they enveloped the Dongfang family elder. The Dongfang family elder couldn't help but be shocked at this scene. His opponent had the divine body of the wood element, one of the 5 elements physiques. The divine body of the 5 elements was not rare, but the divine body of the wood element was very rare. Cultivators with this type of physique were like cockroaches that couldn't be killed once they succeeded in their cultivation. They possessed an incredibly tenacious life force. Just then, a green leaf brushed past the Dongfang family elder's shoulder and drifted down. A bloody wound immediately appeared on his shoulder. "You can really hurt me." The Dongfang family elder was shocked to the extreme. Boom! In the next moment, a powerful wave of energy surged from his body, intending to knock away the countless green leaves that were drifting down towards him. However, in the next moment, he realized in horror that the countless green leaves were still drifting towards him. In the blink of an eye, dozens of bloody wounds appeared on his body, turning him into a snowman. Ancestor! Seeing this, the three elites from the Dongfang family were shocked to the extreme. The other descendants of the Dongfang family were even more frightened. Roar! The Dongfang family elder roared in anger. Rays of divine light rushed out of his body and directly destroyed the green leaves. He seemed to have gone mad as a violent aura exploded from his body. Chapter 2906. The Dongfang clan elder was enraged. He never imagined that he would be injured so soon after the exchange. This was difficult to accept. After all, his opponent was an unknown junior. To be injured by a junior, how could he show his face? Bzzz. Sword Chi howled, and the elder of the Dongfang family immediately displayed the way of the sword that he had cultivated his entire life. Countless rays of light from the sword rushed out from his body and cut down the countless green leaves drifting towards him. Then, the countless rays of light converged and 9 dazzling rays of light appeared in the sky. 9 flying swords! The elder from the Dongfang family roared angrily. 9 beams of dazzling sword light immediately transformed into 9 divine rainbows that shot towards Yenner. Extremely sharp waves of sword chi rippled out from the 9 rays of light. Under the impact of the sword chi, the surrounding temperature plummeted. Junior sister has picked a capable opponent. Menglong couldn't help but nod when he saw this scene. Menglong loved his junior sister Yenner. Whenever he had time, he would give her pointers in cultivation. The two of them had a good relationship. Zhao Hao didn't say anything when he saw this. Whoosh! In the face of the Dongfang clan elder's powerful attack, Yenner remained calm. She transformed into a beam of green light and shot into the sky. However, the 9 rays of light changed directions and shot into the sky, continuing their pursuit of Yenner. Chaotic upheaval. Yenner's entire body emitted a powerful emu-chi. She waved her hands in front of her, and the space in front of her suddenly became unstable. The space twisted and the 9 rays of light rushed into the distorted space. In the next moment, the 9 rays of light shot out of the distorted space. Then, the elder of the Dongfang family was dumbfounded. All he could see was 9 brilliant and sharp rays of sword light descending from the heavens, descending upon him like a divine rainbow. What? The Dongfang clan elder stared in disbelief. The other disciples of the Dongfang clan were also dumbfounded. The elder ancestor's attack had been reversed. How was this possible? This had never happened before. Whoosh! A dazzling ray of sword light descended from the sky. Although the Dongfang family elder was indescribably shocked, he managed to react in an instant. Return! The elder of the Dongfang family roared angrily. 9 vortexes appeared on his body, and allowed the descending sword ray to pierce through the 9 vortexes on his body. His whole body seemed to have turned into a scabbard, and the 9 sword lights were put into the scabbard. The shocking sword rainbow disappeared in an instant, and was absorbed into his body. Yes! Up in the sky, Yenner couldn't help but stare in shock. Her opponent's technique was truly powerful. He had actually managed to break her move. Even Yenner herself did not expect that her opponent would use such a method to nullify her attack. Yenner slammed her palm downwards. Iridescence surged out of her hand and transformed into a giant green hand. In an instant, it covered the sky above the Dongfang clan elder. Rumble! The sky trembled. Everyone looked at the scene in shock. Although Yenner could only use the cultivation and combat power of an immortal god, the combat power she displayed was frightening. It did not seem to be the combat power of an immortal god cultivator at all. Heaven-covering palm. The elder of the Dongfang family raised his head and stared at the giant hand descending from the sky. He could not help but be stunned. In the next moment, his entire body blossomed with sword light and instantly transformed into a divine sword. It pierced through the air and soared into the sky, slashing towards the giant hand descending from the sky. This was a shocking scene that attracted the attention of countless people. The giant green hand shook the sky and collided with the divine sword. The giant green hand exploded with a terrifying energy wave. Like a divine mountain, it descended from the heavens. The divine sword that the Dongfang family elder had transformed into was shattered by the impact. A figure fell out from the shattered sword light and stumbled back. His body was stained with blood, and he coughed up blood. Ancestor! The three heroes of the Dongfang clan were shocked to see this. They did not expect the battle to end so quickly. Furthermore, it ended with the merciless defeat of their ancestor. The three heroes of the Dongfang clan immediately rushed forward to protect their ancestor. These three losers are yours. Yener flew down from the sky and landed in front of Zhao Hao and Meng Long. This is not challenging at all. Meng Long shrugged and said indifferently. Yes, it's not challenging at all. You can handle it alone. Zhao Hao glanced at the three heroes of the Dongfang clan with disdain. He had no interest in fighting. In his eyes, these guys were too weak. Preposterous! The three heroes of the Dongfang clan were shocked and angry to see that Meng Long and Zhao Hao did not take them seriously. These two were too arrogant. If Uncle Master doesn't want to fight, then I will reluctantly do it, Meng Long said and walked towards the three heroes of the Dongfang clan. Damn it! The leading hero stomped on the ground with his right foot and leaped into the air. He waved his hands and shot out beams of destructive light towards Meng Long. Meng Long smiled, and then with a wave of his right hand, the dozen or so beams of light of destruction that pierced towards him immediately shattered and dissipated in the void. Roar! At this moment, another hero roared and spat out an ancient seal at Meng Long. The ancient seal instantly grew to the size of a mountain. The power that erupted from it shook the air. As soon as the seal appeared, the entire sky darkened. Meng Long directly punched out. Rays of golden light appeared on his fist, like golden snakes dancing in a frenzy. Bang! Meng Long's fist directly smashed into the ancient seal that was as huge as a mountain. A violent martial arts force erupted, causing the ancient seal to tremble. Cracks began to spread from Meng Long's fist in all directions. The ancient seal was sent flying towards the hero of the Dongfang clan by Meng Long's punch. The hero was shocked and quickly retreated. At the same time, he waved his hands and formed a series of seals, trying to retrieve the ancient seal. However, the ancient seal had already lost control and sent the hero flying. He spat out a mouthful of blood in the air. He was gravely injured. The other two heroes protected the Dongfang clan elder and quickly retreated. Boom! Chapter 2907. Meng Long was incomparably domineering. With absolute strength, he completely defeated the three heroes of the Dongfang family effortlessly. Everyone who witnessed this scene was dumbfounded. Some of them had come from the eastern domain and had heard of how powerful the elites of the Dongfang family were. But looking at them now, it seemed that they were just people with undeserved reputations. The three heroes of the Dongfang family were also very miserable. It wasn't that they weren't powerful, nor were they undeserving of their reputation. It was just that they had encountered Meng Long, who was much stronger than them. It wasn't just a legend that a martial artist was invincible in the same realm. The ancient sacrificial altar had suppressed the cultivation of all beings above the immortal realm to the immortal realm. Under the same realm, how could the heroes of the Dongfang family be Meng Long's opponent? However, if they were to meet outside the ancient sacrificial altar, even if Meng Long could still defeat the three heroes of the Dongfang family, he wouldn't have won so easily. The three heroes of the Dongfang family and their ancestor were like dead dogs, sprawled on the ground, gravely injured. A huge seal stood in front of them, covered with cracks. Those were the cracks caused by Meng Long's punch. My magic weapon! The owner of the ancient seal was so heartbroken that he almost went crazy. This ancient seal was his lifeblood, an incomparably powerful sacred weapon. Yet, it was broken just like that. At the same time, the hero of the Dongfang family felt a chill in his heart. This guy actually cracked a sacred weapon with a single punch. Could it be that this guy's fist was even stronger than my sacred weapon? The hero of the Dongfang family did not know that the all-suppressing power of the ancient sacrificial altar had not only stripped them of their cultivation and physique, but even their sacred weapons were completely suppressed. Otherwise, how could Meng Long have easily caused countless cracks to appear on the ancient seal with a single punch? Humph! Meng Long strode forward and punched the ancient seal again. Crack! A cracking sound came from the ancient seal, and then, boom! With a loud bang, the ancient seal exploded and countless fragments shot towards the four members of the Dongfang family. In the next moment, spots of blood blossomed from their bodies. Their bodies were pierced by the fragments of the ancient seal. They screamed and fell to the ground. Everyone watching this scene couldn't help but be shocked. An immortal realm cultivator would not die from such an attack. However, having their bodies pierced by countless fragments was not fatal, but the pain was not something an ordinary person could endure. Of course, these four people of the Dongfang family were not ordinary people. The three heroes of the Dongfang family cried in pain. Only the elder of the Dongfang family endured the excruciating pain and struggled to sit up from the ground. The elder of the Dongfang family began to circulate his mysterious art. A ball of divine light immediately emerged from his body, and the badly mangled wounds on his body began to disappear at a speed visible to the naked eye. At this time, Meng Long no longer cared about these guys who were crippled by him. He turned around and walked behind Gu Ling, then sat down cross-legged. Long the time, he of the Long realm, Gu family, the Mu'er he. Holy clan sect Yinhuang family, Long they donged, they, and they longed. They Tang, Yun In, he, and Fang. Fang Shen Long Tian Dong, he. In these 10 days, several thousand disciples of the Eastern world were blocked by Gu Ling and the others on the ancient road of the human race. The ancient road of the human race was very special. It could suppress the cultivation of all powerful cultivators, including magical treasures. On the ancient road of the human race, Gu Ling and the others were invincible. Gu Ling's group had robbed several thousand disciples of the Dongfang family. This was a great loss for the Dongfang family. One should know that these disciples had brought plenty of things with them to be able to set foot on the ancient road of the human race. Divine medicines, saint treasures, everything. These things were divided among Meng Long, Zhao Hao, and Yan Er. After being robbed by Meng Long and the others, the several thousand disciples of the Dongfang family were miserable. They wanted to return to the ancestral dragon star, but they couldn't. This was the starting point of the ancient road of the human race. It was extremely important. Only by leaving this place could they use the teleportation formation outside to return to the ancestral dragon star. Alright, we should go. Gu Ling opened her eyes and stood up. She had been sitting cross-legged for 10 days without making a move. Zhao Hao's group alone had defeated all the disciples of the Dongfang family. Not a single disciple of the Dongfang family could stand shoulder to shoulder with them. This made the elder of the Dongfang family feel despair. In the immortal god realm, not a single one of the several thousand disciples of the Dongfang family could contend against Gu Fei's successor. The elder of the Dongfang family had already recovered, but he didn't make a move. He knew that even if he did, he wouldn't be able to change anything. Are we finally going to embark on our journey? Zhao Hao's group couldn't help but feel excited. The ancient road of the human race. Uncle Master, should we kill all of them? Meng Long's gaze swept across the several thousand disciples of the Dongfang family. Killing intent surged from his body. What? The Dongfang clan's cultivators couldn't help but be startled when they heard that. They could sense the murderous intent coming from Meng Long's body. This hateful guy wasn't joking. He really did want to kill them. Forget it. I'm not a bloodthirsty person. I'll spare their lives. Gu Ling shook her head and walked towards the teleportation array leading to the primordial ancestral star. Zhao Hao and Yan hurriedly followed. Count yourselves lucky. Since Uncle Master has spoken, I'll let you live for now. Those who want revenge, feel free to follow me. Meng Long swept his gaze across the disciples of the Dongfang family, then turned around and strode forward without looking back, catching up to Zhao Hao and Yan. Gu Ling led Zhao Hao's group to the teleportation array and activated it. Swoosh! A ball of divine light emerged from the teleportation array and Gu Ling's group disappeared from the platform. The several thousand disciples of the Dongfang family finally heaved a sigh of relief after seeing Gu Ling's group leave. They were no longer panicking. Someone roared in anger to vent the anger in his chest. Those bastards are finally gone. The elder of the Dongfang family, who had been sitting cross-legged on the ground, rose to his feet. He stared at the teleportation formation where Gu Ling and the others had disappeared into with a venomous look in his eyes. They're not even saints yet they dared to humiliate us. Let's get our revenge! Someone shouted. That's right. They're not even saints. They can only throw their weight around here. Once they leave this place, they'll be able to defy the heavens. The people of the Dongfang family spoke hatefully. They were unwilling to accept this. They couldn't use their actual cultivation in this place. However, they had to admit that they were no match for Gu Ling and the others at the same cultivation level. However, some of them were sages. Once they left this place, it would be a piece of cake for them to kill Gu Ling and the others with their cultivation level of sages. That ancient path leads to the primordial ancestral star. Who wants to go there? The elder of the Dongfang family turned to the crowd. I'll go. Me too. I want to kill Gu Ling's bastards. As soon as the elder of the Dongfang family finished speaking, more than 10 powerhouses of the Dongfang family stood up. All right. You guys go. The elder of the Dongfang family glanced at them and said in a low voice. In the end, a total of 18 powerhouses of the Dongfang family set off on the journey to the primordial ancestral star. They were going to hunt down Gu Ling's group. They were the 18 saints of the Dongfang family. They were the most outstanding talents of the Dongfang family. The remaining people dispersed and set off on their own journeys. They were 10 days behind the rest of the people who set off on the human race's ancient path. This made them feel a sense of urgency. Even if there were any opportunities on the human race's ancient path, they would have already been taken by others. They wouldn't have a share of it. Moreover, their belongings were all taken by the despicable Meng Long and Zhao Hao. Without anything to rely on, these people naturally lost their courage. Most of the people from the Dongfang family would choose to return to the soaring dragon continent. They would prepare themselves before setting off on the human race's ancient path. Preposterous! After everyone left, the elder of the Dongfang family also set off on the ancient path to the primordial ancestral star. He would not let Gu Ling and the others go. With his saint emperor cultivation, killing Gu Ling and the others who hadn't even become a saint was as easy as flipping his palm. As an elder of the Dongfang family, he had lost all his faith in the past few days. He could not wait to catch up to Gu Ling and the others and blast them into pieces. While Gu Ling was leading Zhao Hao and the others on their journey, Gu Zhong had brought his son, Gu Xiaofeng, to an ancient human city. The two of them set off on the ancient path to the ancestral star of the Ziwei clan. They did not enter the ancient path through the ancient altar. Instead, they took a shortcut. This was because there was an ancient path connecting the soaring dragon ancestral star and the Ziwei clan ancestral star. To a certain extent, this ancient path was not the complete human race's ancient path. There was only a part of it that overlapped with the human race's ancient path. Gu Zhong and his son arrived at the city gate. The celestial capital, father, this. Gu Xiaofeng looked at the 3 large words on the city gate and couldn't help but be shocked. The 3 words were written in the Archean divine script. No one in the current world could understand them. However, the reason why Gu Xiaofeng was able to read the 3 ancient divine characters was because there was a trace of woe lingering around the 3 ancient characters. The existence who wrote these 3 words must be incredible. Chapter 2908. The huge ancient city floated in the starry sky, exuding an ancient and vicissitude aura. The city walls were covered with marks left by swords, spears, swords, and halberds. It was obvious that a great battle had taken place here and a supreme expert had left these marks on the city walls. Even after countless years had passed, these marks had not disappeared. However, what made Gu Zhong and his son afraid was that there was no sign of life in this ancient city named Tian Capital. In other words, this ancient city might be a dead city, or there might be very few living creatures in the city. Gu Zhong and his son were very cautious in the face of such an ancient city. They carefully sensed and observed. That is... Suddenly, Gu Xiaofeng seemed to see a blurry black shadow flash across the city tower. What did you see? Gu Zhong said. There seemed to be a person there just now. Gu Xiaofeng pointed at the city tower and said. What? Gu Zhong was incomparably shocked because he didn't see any silhouettes. One must know that his cultivation was much higher than his son's. Gu Xiaofeng was also not a sage, but Gu Zhong was already a sage emperor. The difference between the two was simply incomparable. Are you seeing things? Gu Zhong frowned and said. His sage emperor level spirit sense could not sense any movement on the city tower, nor could he see anyone. This was not a good thing. I'm very sure that I'm not seeing things. I really saw a black shadow flash across and disappear in an instant. Gu Xiaofeng looked at his father and said in an extremely serious manner. Let's go in. Gu Zhong took out a golden holy saber and threw it to Gu Xiaofeng. He then strode towards the city gate that was opened. Gu Xiaofeng took the golden holy saber and waved it a few times. An extremely sharp golden saber radiance swallowed the holy saber and exuded a cold aura. This golden holy saber was Gu Zhong's spoils of war. Although he did not need this kind of sage weapon, it was a good choice to keep it and give it to someone else. It should be known that even in the current era, when sages appeared one after another, the number of sages could not be seen everywhere. There were many cultivators who had yet to become sages. There were also not many sages among Gu Fei's subordinates. However, every single one of them could hold their own. Gu Xiaofeng caught up with his father and walked into the lifeless ancient city together. After passing through the city gate, there was a wide street in front of them. On both sides of the street were houses and pavilions. These houses and pavilions were in ruins, but one could still see the prosperity of this ancient city in the past. This ancient city was definitely flourishing in the past, with endless streams of carriages and horses. There were shops in great numbers, and countless cultivators entered and exited. But now, this ancient city had become an empty city that made people feel uneasy because this ancient city was too quiet. What's going on? Has this place been abandoned? Gu Xiaofeng nervously looked around, his hand tightly gripping the golden holy saber. The alleys on both sides of the street were pitch black. No one knew what was hiding inside. He was very sure that his eyes weren't playing tricks on him when he entered the city. He really did see that mysterious figure. There might be dangers in the ancient city that they didn't know about, so they needed to be cautious and careful. After all, they had experienced many dangers along the way. This gigantic ancient city was even bigger than a mountain, comparable to a small continent. There were countless houses, and the material used to construct this ancient city was black gold stone. This black gold stone was incomparably tough. Ordinary divine weapons would find it hard to leave any marks on it. Rumble! At this moment, a strange sound suddenly came from the front. Gu Zhong and Gu Xiaofeng were startled. They looked in the direction of the sound and saw that it came from a small alley on the left. Whoosh! A gust of wind blew out from the dark alley, stirring up a cloud of dust. Then they saw a white object roll out of the alley with the wind. This is... Gu Zhong and his father looked at the thing that rolled out of the alley. It was a skull, which made them heave a sigh of relief. They continued to move forward. They wanted to find the teleportation formation platform of the ancient city, and then leave this place. It shouldn't be difficult to find the teleportation formation platform in such a huge ancient city. At the end of the street was a tall palace. The palace and a large number of houses and pavilions behind the palace were separated from the outside world by high walls. The city lord's mansion should be in front, Gu Xiaofeng said. Yes, there must be a teleportation formation platform in the city lord's mansion. Gu Zhong nodded. Soon, they arrived in front of the city lord's mansion. The city lord's mansion was like a city within a city, showing the identity of the owner. The most powerful existence in the entire city was the city lord. The city lord controlled the life and death of all living beings in the city. He could be said to be the overlord of a region. For a city as large as the Sky Capital, its master was definitely extraordinary and had a great background. But now, the entire ancient city was obviously without a master and had become a city without a master. The gate of the city lord's mansion was tightly shut, and there was a pool of blood in front of the gate. The air was filled with the smell of blood. Fresh blood. Gu Xiaofeng took a look at his father and said in shock, "Don't be deceived by appearances. The blood of some powerful beings is immortal and can be like fresh blood forever." Gu Zhong looked at the pool of blood on the ground and said with a solemn expression. In fact, even he couldn't tell whether the pool of blood was fresh or not. But he could be sure that someone was injured. In fact, it was hard to determine whether it was a human or a creature of another race. The blood on the ground was spreading towards the gate of the city lord's mansion. The injured creature might be inside the city lord's mansion right now. Gu Zhong threw a punch. Bam! With a loud sound, the heavy gate was sent flying and smashed into the city lord's mansion. The inside was in chaos. Gu Zhong strode in and saw a square. Opposite the square was a tall palace. The two gates had smashed the two lighthouses in front of the square and fell on the square. At this time, Gu Xiaofeng followed his father into the city lord's mansion. However, just as they entered the city lord's mansion, the pool of blood outside the gate underwent a strange change. The blood was evaporating and turned into a blood mist. Then, a blood-red figure appeared in the void. Silently, a blood-red figure appeared outside the gate of the city lord's mansion, blocking Gu Zhong and his father's path of retreat. Gu Xiaofeng, who was walking behind, felt a gust of cold wind behind him. Goosebumps immediately appeared on his skin and he couldn't help but turn around to look. Although it wasn't a big deal, he almost jumped up from the ground in shock. "Father, this..." Gu Xiaofeng quickly pulled his father's clothes. "What?" At this time, Gu Zhong also felt something strange behind him and quickly turned around. "Something ominous has happened." Gu Zhong's expression was solemn. Although he had already guessed something, he was still shocked when he saw the blood-red figure. The pool of blood outside the gate of the city lord's mansion had already disappeared. It seemed like something ominous had happened to the pool of blood and turned into a blood-red figure. Ominous? Could it be like those ominous things that happened on the ancient road to heaven? Gu Xiaofeng said in shock. It wasn't a secret to him that something ominous had happened on the ancient road to heaven. One should know that he had followed Old Tortoise for a long time. The ominous things on the ancient road to heaven were the blood of some supreme being on the ancient road to heaven. Many saint-level existences had fallen on the ancient road to heaven because of the ominous things that happened on the ancient road to heaven. How would I know? Gu Zhong said impatiently. Although he was still calm, he was a little nervous in his heart. One should know that if the blood was really left by a supreme being, they would be in big trouble. Swoosh. At this time, the blurry blood-red figure instantly floated in from outside the city lord's mansion and pounced towards Gu Xiaofeng. Humph. Gu Zhong pulled Gu Xiaofeng behind him and slapped with his right palm. A huge golden hand rushed out from his palm and directly imprinted itself on the blood-red phantom. However, the next moment, Gu Zhong was dumbfounded. He saw that the blood-red figure had passed through his golden hand and was still pouncing towards him. This scene was too strange. The figure was like a gust of wind. It was as if it didn't have any form. Gu Zhong's golden hand couldn't affect it at all. Gu Zhong was shocked. He quickly pulled Gu Xiaofeng and retreated. The blood-red figure was like a shadow and was still approaching Gu Zhong and his son. Gu Zhong snorted coldly. A golden light emerged from between his eyebrows. Swoosh! A golden light flashed, and a sword shadow rushed out from between his eyebrows, slashing towards the blood shadow that was pouncing towards him. The golden sword shadow still pierced through the crimson figure, but this time, the crimson figure became even fainter and more illusory. I see. Gu Zhong finally knew why this was so ominous. It seemed that the mysterious blood carried a trace of the blood's owner's undying fighting spirit and turned into evil. It was a bloody evil shadow. On the other hand, the primordial soul sword that Gu Zhong had unleashed was the bane of all evil thoughts. At this time, the golden sword shadow flashed again. The bloody evil shadow became even more illusory, as if it could disappear into the void at any time. Father, come on! Let's do it a few more times. When Gu Xiaofeng saw this, he immediately became spirited and started to make a big fuss. Buzz! The sound of a sword resonated in the void. Sword chi crisscrossed. Rays of golden sword light slashed through the body of the blood-red figure. Soon, the blood-red figure disappeared into the void. The mysterious blood also disappeared with the disappearance of the blood-red figure. Chapter 2909. Although the crimson evil shadow was terrifying, it was destroyed by Gu Zhong's primordial spirit Dao sword secret technique. However, after Gu Zhong destroyed the extremely strange crimson evil shadow, the main gate of the city lord residence opened with a loud bang. A heart-palpitating death aura surged out from the city lord residence. This, Gu Zhong and his son exchanged glances with each other in shock. The main hall was pitch black. Even a holy venerate like Gu Zhong couldn't see what was going on inside. There was an indescribable aura in the main hall. Father, what should we do now? Should we go in? Gu Xiaofeng peeked into the main hall furtively. However, even his father couldn't see what was going on inside, let alone him. Of course we'll go in, Gu Zhong replied. However, his expression was extremely solemn. The main gate of the main hall wouldn't open for no reason. Could it be that some living being was hiding in the main hall? Be careful, Gu Zhong reminded his son. Okay. Gu Xiaofeng nodded and tightened his grip on the golden holy saber. His eyes were fixed on the pitch-black entrance of the main hall. Swoosh! At this moment, a golden radiance rushed out from Gu Zhong's glabella. This golden radiance turned into a figure and strode into the main hall. Father, you're very careful, Gu Xiaofeng said. Gu Zhong didn't enter the main hall with his real body. He had transformed his spirit into a figure. This method wasn't a superb technique. Soon, Gu Zhong suddenly took a step forward and walked into the main hall. His body emitted a golden radiance that illuminated the entire dark void. Father! Gu Xiaofeng couldn't help but be shocked when he saw his father suddenly walking into the main hall. He hurriedly followed. When he entered the main hall, he was shocked to find that his father was actually confronting a terrifying existence. It was a terrifying living being sitting on a throne in the middle of the main hall. This living being was surrounded by a powerful and heart-palpitating death aura. A pair of dark green eyes were staring at Gu Zhong. This was a terrifying dead spirit, powerful to the extreme. Gu Xiaofeng found that the clothes on this dead spirit were very old and definitely not something from the present era. Moreover, this dead spirit's body was very dry, like a layer of skin wrapped around the bones. The figure formed by Gu Zhong's divine will had already been destroyed by this dead spirit. Could it be that the figure I saw before entering the city was this guy? Gu Xiaofeng hid behind his father, Gu Zhong. He poked his head out and looked at the terrifying dead spirit sitting on the throne in front of him. Shwa! At that moment, the undead spirit that was sitting on the throne abruptly stood up. Then, it stretched out its hand and grabbed at Gu Zhong. Boundless deathly aura condensed in the void and a pitch-black claw of death appeared in the void before enveloping Gu Zhong and his son. Buzz! Gu Zhong waved his right hand and a dazzling sword light immediately rushed out from his hand. In an instant, it soared up and pierced through the black claw. At this moment, a terrifying deathly aura spread out. Within the pitch-black deathly aura, a black shadow silently pounced at Gu Zhong. Humph! Gu Zhong directly punched forward, and a skinny arm reached out from the death chi, just in time to be smashed by his punch. Bang! A muffled sound was heard and the air exploded. The power of metal and the deathly aura collided. The arm that was surrounded by the deathly aura retracted, but Gu Zhong remained unmoved like a mountain. "Father, how is it? Can you win?" Gu Xiaofeng hurriedly asked. If he couldn't win, he would have to run away as soon as possible. He wasn't a hero, and he didn't intend to be one. In his opinion, being a hero comes with a heavy price. One must know that heroes usually have a short life. Gu Xiaofeng didn't want to die young. Therefore, he didn't want to be a hero. "I don't know yet. This is just a test," Gu Zhong said. At this moment, a boundless deathly aura filled every inch of the hall. The pitch-black deathly aura was vast and mighty, enveloping the entire hall. Gu Zhong's body emitted a golden light that blocked all the deathly aura. A Saint Emperor's aura spread out from his body. The dead spirit was hiding in the deathly aura, waiting for an opportunity to strike. "I can't participate in a battle of this level. Father, it's better if you keep me in your inner world for now," Gu Xiaofeng said. He didn't want to be a burden to his father. With him by his side, it was inevitable that Gu Zhong would be worried and distracted. All right. Gu Zhong also knew that the dead spirit was extremely powerful. He had no choice but to treat it seriously. He directly opened his inner world and kept Gu Xiaofeng inside. After reaching the Saint Emperor realm, Gu Zhong also opened his own inner world. Of course, his inner world couldn't be compared to his master, Gu Fei's inner world. Fight me openly if you have the guts. Hiding is the behavior of a coward, Gu Zhong coldly said. Gu Zhong said coldly. He stood there quietly while golden radiance rose from his body like dancing golden flames. Every pore on his body was gushing with golden essence energy. Like an ancient god, Gu Zhong gave off an undefeatable feeling. This was the aura of an invincible cultivator. Roar! Suddenly, an earth-shaking roar resounded in the hall. The entire hall shook as the pitch-black deathly aura violently churned and churned. "TCH, so what if you're loud?" Gu Zhong said disdainfully. Swish! At this moment, the space behind Gu Zhong was suddenly ripped apart. A ghastly claw directly grabbed at Gu Zhong's head from within the black aura. 5 streaks of black light shot out from the claw, piercing through the space. Bzz. With the resonance of a sword, there was a sudden flash of golden light. The black claw actually fell from the sky, before turning into a puddle of putrid black water. Even someone as powerful as Gu Zhong felt a sense of dizziness when he smelled that scent. He couldn't help being startled and hastily held his breath. Roar! Another roar rang out. Countless blurry figures seemed to appear within the surging deathly aura. They seemed to wander around Gu Zhong like countless ghosts. You're just playing tricks," Gu Zhong said disdainfully. He could directly ignore the opponent's methods. Had he overestimated this guy? Just as Gu Zhong was feeling puzzled, the mysterious figures in the pitch-black deathly aura closed in on him. Every single one of them gave off an extremely powerful deathly aura, as if they were demons that had crawled out of hell for thousands of years. This. Chapter 29:10. Gu Zhong was fighting against a terrifying undead spirit in the palace of the city lord's estate. Even with Gu Zhong's Saint Emperor cultivation, he was actually on par with the undead spirit. The palace was completely enveloped by the pitch-black qi of death. The terrifying qi of death permeated the air as powerful black figures walked out of the qi of death. Silhouettes flickered as they pounced towards Gu Zhong. Bzzz. A sword hum erupted from Gu Zhong's body. As he waved his hands, streaks of astonishing sword arcs shot out from his hands, piercing through all the black shadows that were pouncing towards him. However, a strange scene appeared. The black shadows that were pierced by the sword light actually turned into a black mist that did not dissipate and surged towards Gu Zhong. Very quickly, Gu Zhong was engulfed by the black mist and was completely submerged. However, there were still incomparably sharp sword lights that pierced through the black mist and destroyed the black shadows that were pouncing over. The black mist that surrounded Gu Zhong began to churn, and one blurry silhouette after another appeared within it. The powerful death energy was corroding Xiao Chen's metal elemental essence. Seal. Gu Zhong immediately activated the Saint Emperor Dao Law. 9 golden Dao patterns rushed out from his body and imprinted themselves in the void around him, blocking the strange black mist. The strange power from the black mist could no longer corrode his metal elemental essence. How dare you! Gu Zhong was still very calm. His opponent was hidden in the black fog and was waiting for an opportunity to strike. However, Gu Zhong wasn't someone to be trifled with. With 9 golden Dao patterns sealing the spatial zone, it seemed impossible for that dead spirit to break through his defense. Boom! At that moment, a streak of black light suddenly shot out from the black mist, striking the golden light barrier around Gu Zhong. An arrowhead stabbed into the golden light barrier, nearly piercing through it. What? Gu Zhong could not help but be shocked when he saw this. His opponent had a killing weapon, and it should be a bow that shot out such a powerful black arrow. Boom! The golden barrier around Gu Zhong's body suddenly trembled. Another black arrow shot out from the black mist and struck the golden barrier, piercing through it. However, it was stuck on the golden barrier. This arrow was shot from different directions. From this, it could be determined that the dead spirit hiding in the black fog was constantly moving and changing its position. What a cunning fellow! Gu Zhong mumbled to himself. At this moment, he had fallen into a predicament. The other party was in the dark and could see all of his actions. However, he was in the light, and it was difficult for him to release his divine sense. He couldn't sense the existence of the dead spirit. Buzz! A sword cry rang out, and 9 golden rays of light shot out from Gu Zhong's body, piercing through 9 different directions. The powerful sword light broke through the layers of black fog. In the black fog that was broken by the sword light, countless black shadows were dissipating, as if countless ferocious souls and malicious ghosts were killed by the sword light. In the void, there was a faint strange roar, as if there were countless lonely souls and wild ghosts roaring in despair. 9 beams of sword light lit up the pitch-black hall, and a black shadow instantly disappeared under the illumination of the sword light, disappearing into the void. Found you! Gu Zhong roared out furiously. He leapt up, and the 9 golden inscriptions immediately imprinted themselves on his body. Soon afterwards he turned into the most resplendent sword light and slashed out. Wherever the sword light passed, a black shadow fell out of the darkness. At this moment, the 9 streaks of light from Gu Zhong's sword were blocked by the walls of the hall. The streaks of light from a Saint King were actually unable to penetrate the walls. They did not even leave behind a mark. Just as Gu Zhong slashed the dead spirit out of the void with his sword, the entire hall suddenly shook. Beams of divine light of the Great Path rushed out from all directions of the hall and intertwined to form a cage. It actually trapped Gu Zhong on the ground. What? Gu Zhong's shock was no small matter. This power was definitely not something that the dead spirit could use, as it was not death force. Moreover, even the dead spirit had been trapped. The entire hall had been transformed into a prison that could imprison a saint-level being. I'll deal with you first. Gu Zhong immediately returned to his senses after recovering from his shock. He then pressed towards the dead spirit in the cage. Roar! The dead spirit roared. Death chi coiled around its body, and a vicious light flickered in its eyes. It said nothing, only staring fixedly at Gu Zhong. The dead spirit held a black bow in its hand. It was no ordinary bow, but a bow refined from a type of black bone. The body of the bow was actually the spine of an unknown being. Streaks of evil black light coiled around the black bow, giving off an eerie and evil feeling. Gu Zhong knew that the dead spirit had used the black bow in its hand to shoot a black arrow that pierced through his golden shield. If the black arrow shot by the dead spirit was a little more powerful, it might have been able to injure him. The dead spirit gripped the black bow tightly. Gu Zhong glanced at the black bow and smiled. You won't have a chance. Just when the dead spirit was about to pull out the arrow, Gu Zhong had already displayed his 8 steps extreme speed. He instantly rushed forward, raised his right hand, and punched towards the dead spirit. The golden fist bloomed with a dazzling sword light. An extremely powerful explosive force erupted from his fist. Gu Zhong's speed was too fast. The 8 steps extreme speed was not a lie. With Gu Zhong's level of cultivation, although he could not travel all over the world in 8 steps, no one at the same level could match him at such a close distance. Even a great saint could not surpass Gu Zhong's speed. Before the dead spirit's hand could touch the black arrow in the quiver, a golden fist had already smashed into its face. Bang! The dead spirit flew out and smashed into the light pillar formed by the divine light of the great path. Then, it bounced back and rolled on the ground. Gu Zhong's punch was enough to shatter a Saint Emperor weapon. However, it failed to smash the dead spirit's head. The dead spirit actually stood up slowly from the ground. Roar! The dead soul raised its head to the sky and let out a long howl. Chaotic black smoke surged, and an extremely violent aura of death erupted from its body. It's useless no matter how fierce you are. Gu Zhong took a step forward and instantly approached the dead spirit. He smashed his fist again. This time, the powerful punch landed on the dead spirit's body. However, it was still useless. The immortal body of the dead spirit was too powerful. It was much more powerful than a Saint Emperor weapon. This surprised Gu Zhong. Bang! At the moment when Gu Zhong smashed into the dead spirit also grabbed Gu Zhong's shoulder. It directly tore his clothes and left 5 faint marks on his shoulder. Gu Zhong's Saint Emperor martial body was also powerful. It was not any weaker than the immortal body of the dead spirit. The 2 experts began to fight in the Great Path Cage. Close combat was what warriors were best at. Gu Zhong completely suppressed the dead spirit. Bang! Boom! A heavy collision sound rang out from the Great Path Cage. The result of Gu Zhong and the dead spirit's close combat was that the dead spirit was viciously beaten up by Gu Zhong. It could not fight back at all. Although the situation was one-sided, it would not be easy for Gu Zhong to kill the undead spirit. Bang! The dead spirit was sent flying by Gu Zhong once again. Looks like I need to be a little more violent. Gu Zhong reached out and tore off the tattered clothes hanging on his body. Then, an extremely powerful martial arts force erupted from his body. Golden runes appeared in his blood, muscles, and bones. This was the perfect fusion of his martial body and power. His body trembled and the surrounding space immediately began to tremble. It was as if he could tear the surrounding space apart as long as he wanted to. It gave people a feeling that he was extremely powerful. Without any moves or great techniques, Gu Zhong directly pounced forward and wrestled with the terrifying undead. Gotcha! With the sound of bones breaking, one of the dead spirit's arms was forcefully torn off. I'm going to tear you apart, Gu Zhong said fiercely. Gu Zhong spoke in an incomparably ferocious manner. After that undead spirit was in a miserable state. The sound of bones shattering rang out unceasingly. After that undead spirit was truly torn apart by him. A dead spirit that was strong enough to compete with Saint Emperors was torn apart by Gu Zhong. No one would believe it if they told others. In the end, a sword shadow shot out from Gu Zhong's brow and directly destroyed the soul fire in the dead spirit's head. As a result, the dead spirit was dead. The dead spirit was trapped in the Great Path Cage and could not hide anywhere. As a result, the dead spirit was completely miserable. However, after using the primordial spirit sword to kill the terrifying dead spirit, it was Gu Zhong's turn to be miserable. He was trapped in the Great Path Cage and could not escape. You think you can trap me with a cage like this? Gu Zhong did not care about the Great Path Cage at all. However, he soon became nervous because he found that his power could not shake the Great Path Cage at all. Then, he used all kinds of methods, including the 9 secrets of the Immortal Path, to no avail. This made Gu Zhong really anxious. In the end, Gu Zhong could only accept reality. He was trapped in the city lord residence of the ancient city of Sky Capital. He guessed that the 9 swords he had unleashed must have triggered the restriction of the main hall. Otherwise, the Great Path Cage would not have appeared. While Gu Zhong was trapped, the ancestral star of the Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star, the Eastern Region, Wenxiang City. There was finally some movement in the place where Gu Fei was in seclusion. An illusory figure appeared in the sky above Wenxiang City. The laws of heaven and earth became chaotic the moment this figure appeared. With the strength of a single person, he was able to throw the heavens and earth into chaos. This caused everyone who saw this scene to be shocked to the extreme. "Big Brother is coming out of seclusion!" Shaoqing rushed out immediately. When he saw the illusory figure in the sky, he was surprised and overjoyed. Chapter 29:11 Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star, Wenxiang City. A powerful but not overbearing aura of the great Tao was emitted from Gu Fei's place of seclusion. Mortals couldn't sense this aura at all. However, it was different for sage-level living beings. "Big Brother, this is..." Shaoqing immediately came to the outside of Gu Fei's place of seclusion. The next moment, he felt an aura that shook his spiritual soul and made his soul tremble. Could it be that Big Brother has successfully taken that step? Shaoqing muttered to himself as he stared at Gu Fei's place of seclusion in shock. One should know that he was a great sage. He had followed Old Tortoise for so long and was guided by Old Tortoise, but he was still just a great sage. When Shaoqing became Old Tortoise's disciple in the past, he wasn't even an immortal emperor or a mighty figure, let alone a sage. He was able to reach the great sage stage because of Old Tortoise's painstaking nurturing. In this great era, everyone was improving. All living beings were madly cultivating to improve their cultivation and combat power. Countless people had even embarked on the human race's ancient road. All humans and living beings of other races had only one goal, which was to pursue greater power. Now, even Gu Zhong was showing signs of catching up with him. Shaoqing thought of many things. Ever since he parted ways with Gu Fei in the Heaven Realm, he had been cultivating desperately so that he could help his brother in the future. He was no longer the Shaoqing of the past, and Old Tortoise was no longer the Old Tortoise of the past. Everyone's cultivation and realm had improved to a height that people could only look up to. They had risen, and were no longer the small figures that could be bullied and trampled by others. However, in the eyes of Shaoqing, his big brother was still in existence that he looked up to. It seemed that he would never be able to surpass his big brother. At this moment, the aura of the great Tao that came from Gu Fei's place of seclusion had disrupted the law of heaven and earth of the entire world. Such a scene could only be described as chaotic heaven and earth. Gu Fei. In the ancestral grounds of the Dongfang family, in an ancient cave that was spewing primal chaos qi, a figure who was sitting cross-legged in the depths of the cave suddenly opened his eyes. It was a mysterious man with a bronze mask on his face. Two resplendent eyes shone out from behind the mask. Old Ancestor. Outside the Chaos Ancient Cave, the two figures sitting cross-legged on the nearby mountain ridge seemed to have sensed something and stood up at the same time. They were two old men with white hair and white eyebrows. They were so old that their teeth were about to fall off. These two old men were the two elders with the highest seniority in the Dongfang family. Of course, there were other elders in the Dongfang family. However, the other clan elders could not be compared to these two clan elders. They were all the younger generation of these two clan elders. At this time, the two elders also sensed the changes in heaven and earth. They couldn't help but be moved. Gu Fei had actually grown to such a level. At this moment, the two elders of the Dongfang family finally understood why the great ancestor of the Chaos Ancient Cave had been alarmed. Someone has taken that step. In the ancestral grounds of the primordial Zhao family, in a peerless dragon cave, a figure as powerful as the ancestral dragon was sitting cross-legged. This figure was like a stone statue, not moving at all. But at this time, this person's eyelids twitched. He opened his eyes, and the shadow of a dragon was hidden in his eyes. The ancestral grounds of the primordial Zhao family was a peerless dragon cave that had nurtured the ancestral dragon. Only a powerful force like the primordial Zhao family could protect such a divine land. If it was an ordinary force that possessed such a treasure, it would have been snatched away long ago. At the same time, in the depths of the Eastern Demon Cave, a terrifying demonic roar resounded. An unimaginably powerful demon expert was alarmed. In the sky above the demon cave, vast and mighty demonic chi surged. A huge demonic shadow appeared, roaring towards the sky. All the demonic creatures in the demon realm were terrified to the extreme. Very soon, there were rumors that a terrifying demon in the eastern demon cave would awaken from its long slumber. This was definitely not a good thing for the forces in the eastern demon cave. The eastern demon cave had been sealed for countless years, but that was already in the past. The 9 peaks of Taishian, which had suppressed the sealed demon cave, no longer existed. In the present world, no one could suppress the sealed demon cave with their own strength. Once the terrifying demon in the depths of the sealed demon cave awoke from its deep slumber, it would be a disaster for the eastern demon realm, and even the entire Tinglong continent. Moreover, there were many experts in the northern demon realm now. In the depths of the northern demon cave, which was sealed by Ruthless, there was also a powerful demonic aura coming out. In the forbidden area of the human realm, there was also a terrifying aura coming out. A terrifying figure that was powerful enough to shatter heaven and earth appeared in the forbidden area. This time, the world of chaos might really be coming. Half-Step Supreme Master. On a star in the sky above the eastern demon realm, a figure sitting cross-legged on a boulder suddenly opened her eyes and looked down at the earth below. This was a figure surrounded by the light of the Tao. Her clothes were as white as snow, her long hair draped over her shoulders, and her eyes were full of spiritual qi. However, there seemed to be endless Tao laws circling around this woman. The place where she was at was a blur, and no one could see her appearance clearly. Her eyes seemed to be able to see through the endless void, and she directly saw the chaotic Tao laws of the eastern demon realm. Using one Tao to mess up 10,000 Tao laws. This is indeed the sign of taking that step, the woman in white muttered to herself. However, in the next moment, the woman in white closed her eyes and said no more. This star was full of vitality, and it was protected by a formation. People outside the star would not be able to sense that there was a star with life hidden in the starry sky. The supreme existences all sensed the aura coming from Wenxiang's city in the eastern demon realm. In an instant, all the super antiques on the soaring dragon ancestral star were attracted to Wenxiang's city. Many people were very curious about who had taken that step. Wenxiang's city was Gu Fei's territory. The person who could take that step was most likely Gu Fei. Some people from the Dongfang clan and the Zhao clan of the primordial clan began to feel uneasy. After all, if Gu Fei succeeded in taking that step, these people would be in trouble. Rumble. Wenxiang City, the city lord's mansion, where Gu Fei was cultivating in seclusion. The heavy stone door opened with a rumble, and the chaotic aura receded like a receding tide. A figure appeared behind the stone door. At this moment, all the higher-ups of Wenxiang City had gathered outside the stone door. Shaoqing, the iron-blood Taoist, the 3 saints of heaven, earth, and man, Zhuge Liang, and the others were all here. Of course, Gu Ling had brought Yan Er, Zhao Hao, and Meng Long onto the ancient road of the human race, while Gu Zhong and his son were trapped in the divine capital. Chapter 29:12. Gu Fei came out of his seclusion. He walked out of his seclusion like an ordinary person. "Big brother, you're finally out." Shaoqing immediately rushed forward and hugged Gu Fei tightly. "Greetings, master." The iron-blood Taoist and the others quickly went forward to greet him. Gu Fei ignored them and hugged Shaoqing. "Old Tortoise is still in seclusion." "Ha ha, I'm one step ahead of him again." Gu Fei looked at Old Tortoise's seclusion and said as he let go of Shaoqing. "This?" Shaoqing felt a little unnatural. He knew that his master and Gu Fei were secretly competing against each other. It seemed like his master was going to be disappointed again. "All right, let's go and drink to our heart's content." Gu Fei looked at the people around him and said, "You guys can go now." "Yes." The iron-blood Taoist and the others quickly replied and left. Next, in order to celebrate Gu Fei's coming out from seclusion, Wenxiang City began to celebrate. For 10 consecutive days, Wenxiang City was extremely lively. When some forces received the news, they immediately sent their people to congratulate him. The primordial Zhao clan and the Dongfang clan also sent their heavyweights to congratulate him. Of course, on the surface, these people came to congratulate him, but in reality, they were here to find out the truth about Gu Fei. After all, seeing was believing. Some people said that Gu Fei had already taken that step, but some people were unwilling to believe it. Gu Fei was very happy. He and Xiaoqing got drunk. In the end, Yener also came out from his inner world. Finally, it was Yener who carried Gu Fei back to his room. When Xiaoqing saw this scene, she couldn't help but be dumbfounded. She really couldn't tell that the seemingly weak Yener was actually a tough woman. On the second day, when Yener learned that Guling was on the ancient path to the primeval ancestral star, she was very worried. However, she had no objections to Gu Fei's decision. Yener had been cultivating in Gu Fei's inner world. Gu Fei's inner world was a peerless divine land. Cultivating inside was naturally twice the result with half the effort. This allowed Yener's cultivation to improve very quickly. At this time, Yener had already touched upon the Tao charm of a great sage, and was about to take the next step to become a great sage. In the evening, in the courtyard behind the city lord's mansion, Gu Fei and Yen were enjoying a rare moment of peace. Gu Fei directly cooked a sumptuous dinner for Yener. Braised flood dragon claw, roasted golden divine birdwing, steamed 10,000-year dragon carp, etc. These were all dishes that ordinary cultivators wouldn't even dare to dream about. However, at Gu Fei's place, not to mention these dishes, even the golden birds with the bloodline of the true phoenix were hunted down and eaten by Gu Fei. This was a world for the two of them. Xiaoqing and the others were very tactful and didn't dare to appear. "I didn't expect you to be so good at cooking," Yenna said with a smile. "Hee, there are still a lot of things you don't know," Gu Fei said. "I thought you only knew how to fight and kill. It seems that I have to get to know you again," Yenna said. "Haha, you really have to get to know your husband again," Gu Fei said with a smile. "Is that so?" Yenna smiled. The two of them chatted casually like ordinary mortals. They were also like lovers who had just met. Neither of them had this kind of experience, so they both felt that it was very refreshing. Gu Fei had a great time eating this meal. He hadn't relaxed like this for a long time. If Gu Ling was here, it would be really perfect. It was also a kind of happiness for a person to live a peaceful life with his wife and daughter. To a large extent, Gu Fei was no longer pursuing greater power for himself. For Yener and Gu Ling, he had the responsibility to let them live well and live happily. However, in this chaotic world, only by becoming the strongest existence in the world could Gu Fei protect his wife and daughter, keeping them away from danger and not being threatened. "I wonder how Linger is doing now," Yener suddenly said with a gloomy expression. "Don't worry. If she doesn't experience wind and rain, it will be hard for her to truly grow. If she wants to become an expert, she has to face all kinds of challenges." Gu Fei comforted her. "I know that, but I'm just worried," Yener said. "Linger will be fine," Gu Fei said. "That's good," Yener said. Since Gu Fei said that he would be fine, then he would definitely be fine because Gu Fei had never lied to her. "You took that step?" Yener asked. Looks like we have to go to the heaven realm again. Do we have any enemies in the heaven realm?" Gu Fei said. Heaven tribulation was also a kind of power that could be used, and its lethality was definitely considerable. "Yes, Yuan Gu," Yener said. She still remembered the scene when the Eastern Land Celestial Emperor, Yuan Gu, attacked the Luoxiao courtyard. "That guy's whereabouts are uncertain. It's very difficult to find him," Gu Fei said. Yuan Gu's Celestial Emperor was definitely an opponent that could not be underestimated. This guy used to dominate the eastern land of the Heaven Realm and rule the region. Moreover, this guy was mysterious and unfathomable, and no one had seen his true face. To be able to hide so deeply, this was enough to show how powerful Yuan Gu was. Most importantly, Gu Fei had killed Yuan Gu's only son, the Purple Emperor, in the Heaven Realm. This was a hatred that could not be shared under the same sky. Yuan Gu was hiding in the dark, and no one knew what he was plotting. "This is a big threat," Yenner said. "Yes." Gu Fei did not say much. Yuan Gu was indeed difficult to find, but once he passed the quasi-supreme heavenly tribulation, it would be much easier to find him. The old tortoise was still in seclusion, and he really wanted to go to the place with the great fortune. After all, it was a great fortune that the demon race's supreme emperor had left for the old tortoise. Perhaps if he obtained that fortune, he could become a supreme. However, he also had things to do in the mortal realm, and he had to make a trip there. After dinner, Gu Fei accompanied Yenner for a stroll in the city lord's mansion. There were only the two of them in the entire mansion, and no one dared to disturb them at this time. Returning to peace had always been Gu Fei's pursuit. However, in this great world, it was impossible for him to stop even if he wanted to. He had to press forward with an indomitable will and continuously surpass his predecessors in order to survive the great calamity that he did not know when it would arrive. He also wanted Yenner and her daughter to survive. He had to protect the people around him, so he could not stop. Peace was only temporary, so he cherished this rare period of peace. However, after half a month, Gu Fei left Wenxiang's city with Yenner. One day later, in the Beitang family's ancestral land in the Central Plains, a huge hand appeared in the sky and directly slammed towards the Beitang family's ancestral land. Boom! Chapter 29:13. The human world, the Tanglong continent and the Central Plains were extremely vast, much larger than the East, South, West, and North regions. In the Central Plains, the three majestic empires ruled. There were also countless sects that controlled large and small territories. To the three majestic empires, these cultivation forces were like local tyrants. They had absolute control over the territories they controlled. Even the city lords that were supposed to be appointed by the majestic empires were appointed by the local cultivation forces. The Central Plains was a place filled with heroes. The Yaoai ancient sacred land, the Yuanshu immortal sect, and the archaic Dao sect all had their ancestral lands in the Central Plains. Some people even said that the Qin clan, an emperor clan that appeared out of nowhere, was a cultivation clan that had existed for a long time in the Central Plains. The three imperial dynasties had existed in the Central Plains for countless years. Their influence had even extended to the East, South, West, and North regions. The power of these three imperial clans was not to be underestimated. Some people said that these three imperial dynasties also had human emperors. Of course, in the current world, only human Emperor Jiang of the Jiang clan was a true ultimate emperor. Although the emperors of the three imperial clans were also called human emperors, it was just a title. They were not truly ultimate emperor supremes. As for the Beitang clan, as a cultivation clan in the Central Plains, their influence was not small. Especially the current clan leader of the Beitang clan, he was a saint. However, the Beitang clan was destroyed. Some people saw a shocking scene. A giant hand descended from the sky and wiped the Beitang clan's ancestral land off the face of the earth. Even the clan leader of the Beitang clan could not escape and was killed by the giant hand. Some people thought of something, but no one dared to say it. The destruction of the Beitang clan had caused a great commotion in the cultivation world of the Central Plains. While everyone was guessing who it was that destroyed the Beitang clan, Gu Fei brought Yenner to the ancient road to heaven and entered the heaven realm again. Heaven realm, West Ocean, exit of the ancient road to heaven. A black-robed young man and a white-robed lady appeared on the platform outside the exit of the ancient road to heaven. Heaven realm, we are back again, the black-robed young man said emotionally. When he came to the heaven realm, he was still a nobody. But now, he could compete with the strongest experts. Compared to the human realm, the heaven realm also had countless secrets that were unknown to others, as well as terrifying forbidden areas. However, compared to the human realm, the heaven realm was a great world with complete heavenly Tao laws, while the human realm was a broken world. Transcending the tribulation in the human realm would result in incomplete Tao laws, which was a huge problem for cultivators. Therefore, Gu Fei wouldn't go through the quasi-sovereign heavenly tribulation in the human realm. He wanted to go to the heavenly realm. It had to be said that the heavenly realm was indeed a good place. When Gu Fei brought Yen down from the platform, he was stopped by someone. "Fellow Taoists, do you want to leave just like that?" A green-robed youth suddenly jumped out from the side. Behind the green-robed youth were two ruffian-looking fellows. These people were staring at Yen maliciously. However, they were shocked to realize that they could not see the woman's appearance at all. This was also the reason why they were even more curious. "Reckless fellows! Do they think they can bully those two fellows?" Someone saw this scene from afar and couldn't help muttering gloatingly. Because even a blind man could sense the saint chi from those two. These three green-robed youths were the grandchildren of a great figure in the demon race. That great figure was in charge of guarding the ancient road to heaven. Therefore, these three fellows unscrupulously extorted cultivators from the heaven realm and human realm. "Three little loaches dare to block my path? Are you guys courting death?" Gu Fei coldly glanced at the three fellows who blocked his and Yenna's path. With his cultivation base, he could naturally see through their true forms. It turned out that the true forms of these three green-robed youths were flood dragons. No wonder they dared to act so unscrupulously. These three youths were only immortal emperors, yet they dared to scheme against saints. There was only one possibility: they had a stronger backer than the saints behind them. In fact, to be more precise, the strongest backer behind these three fellows was the old turtle. "What? You said we are little loaches?" The green-robed youth's triangular eyes immediately shot out a ferocious gaze. He stared at Gu Zhong, ready to attack at any time. Gu Fei noticed that the green-robed youth's right hand was holding onto a killing tool. It was a saint tool that emitted a heart-palpitating murderous chi. "It's better to avoid unnecessary trouble. Let's go," Yenner said to Gu Fei. "Ha ha! Brothers, did you hear that? They still want to leave?" A skinny man on the left of the triangular eyes laughed. "Humph! You still want to leave? Do you think you can leave after offending us?" A short and fat man on the right of the triangular eyes said arrogantly. At this moment, they were inside the checkpoint set up by the demon clan and had yet to reach the checkpoint. However, the demon clan experts who were guarding the checkpoint turned a blind eye to them and did not care at all. This was because they were already used to such things. These three fellows were arrogant and domineering just because they were the descendants of the Green Jiao Great Sage. The experts of the demon race who were guarding the checkpoint of the ancient road to heaven had always turned a blind eye to these three fellows because of the Green Jiao Great Sage. "Don't think that you are powerful just because you are a sage. Boy, let me tell you, even if you are a sage king, I can still kill you." The leader of the triangular eyes stared at Gu Fei viciously and said, "Call the Green Jiao Great Sage to see me." Gu Fei was really angry. These three fellows were definitely related to the Green Jiao Great Sage. It should be known that the old turtle's group of subordinates only had one Green Jiao Great Sage. "Hey boy, are you really courting death? You still want to see our great-grandfather? Who do you think you are?" The triangular eyes said disdainfully. "Boss, why are you still talking so much with this reckless fellow? Let's just send him on his way." The skinny man next to the triangular eyes said coldly. "Do you often do this kind of thing?" Gu Fei suddenly laughed. "Humph, what do you think?" The short fatty squinted his eyes and stared at Gu Fei. "That's not good." Yenner suddenly pulled Gu Fei's sleeve and said. She knew that if Gu Fei laughed, then these three domineering fellows would not have a good time. Moreover, these people were the old turtle's people. Even if they wanted to teach these people a lesson, it was not their turn to do it. "Looks like I'll send you on your way." The leader of the triangular eyes stretched out his right hand, holding a black seal, and directly pressed it towards Gu Fei. On top of the black seal, a Tao diagram rushed out and instantly shrouded Gu Fei under the Tao diagram. The triangular eyes aimed at Gu Fei. Yenner stood beside Gu Fei, but the Tao diagram had no effect on her. "Boy, you dare to fight with me? Aren't you courting death?" The triangular eyes stared at Gu Fei contemptuously. In his opinion, Gu Fei, who was shrouded by the Tao diagram, was already a dead man. He had once killed a sage with this move. Sigh. Yenner sighed and didn't say anything else. Humph, now even if that little guy green flood dragon comes, he can't save you, Gu Fei said coldly. Under the shroud of the Tao diagram, he still looked calm and did not show any signs of panic. Haha, this boy is about to die, but he's still so stubborn. Boss, hurry up and finish him. The short fatty laughed wantonly and pointed at Gu Fei. However, the next moment, Gu Fei pointed a finger. Bang! With a bang, the short fatty's body exploded and turned into a cloud of blood mist. In an instant, his body and soul were destroyed, and even his primordial spirit could not escape. Sigh, I didn't want to kill you, but you keep courting death. Then I'll have to help you. Gu Fei shook his head and sighed. The triangular eyes and the thin man were stunned. The short fatty's blood splashed over them. The boiling hot blood sprinkled over them, but they felt a bone-piercing chill. You deserve to die. The triangular eyes quickly recovered and activated the secret treasure in his hand, wanting to directly obliterate Gu Fei. Buzz. The Tao diagram suspended above Gu Fei's head immediately trembled. A terrifying aura of destruction descended from the Tao diagram, obliterating Gu Fei. However, a scene that made the triangular eyes dumbfounded appeared. He saw that the black-robed young man directly ignored the destructive power coming from the Tao diagram and directly pointed a finger. Puff! The short fatty next to the triangular eyes did not even have the chance to scream before he turned into a cloud of blood mist. A ball of demonic light dissipated in the blood mist. It was the short fatty's primordial spirit. You! This time, the triangular eyes was scared out of his wits. It seemed that he had kicked an iron plate today and provoked someone he should not have provoked. Weren't you very arrogant just now? Come, I'll let you kill me. Gu Fei stretched his neck and then made a chopping gesture with his hand. The Tao diagram trembled, and the mighty destructive power was all blocked by a ball of chaotic divine light that emerged from his body. Not even the corner of his clothes was touched. Who the hell are you? The triangular eye's voice trembled. At this time, the monster race experts guarding the checkpoint had already rushed over. Kill him for me. The triangular eye's courage grew again because among these monster race experts, there was an extremely powerful monster saint, and this monster saint was a subordinate of his great-grandfather. Roar. At the same time, a roar came from high up in the sky. The entire void shook in the roar, and an extremely terrifying great sage pressure descended from the sky. Chapter 29:14. The entrance of the ancient road to heaven caused a huge commotion. 2 of the 3 domineering guys had been killed, and the remaining one didn't seem to have much longer to live. The person who dared to attack the 3 plebeians didn't want to let the triangular-eyed guy go. Since he had already attacked, he couldn't just start strong but finish weak. If he wanted to kill, he would kill all of them. Do you think they can save you? Gu Fei smiled and pointed his finger again. Pfft! With a bang, the triangular-eyed man's right arm immediately turned into a bloody mist and dissipated in the void. In front of Gu Fei, the triangular-eyed guy wasn't even a little loach. You can't kill me! My great-grandfather is the Green Jiao Great Sage. The triangular-eyed guy was terrified to the extreme. This guy was too arrogant, much more arrogant than him. He killed his other brother with just a raise of his hand. The triangular-eyed guy didn't even need to think to know that this black-robed young man had a great background. This time, his life was in the hands of the other party. In the past, he was the only one who could control the life and death of others. The feeling of controlling the life and death of others with just a thought was too wonderful and fascinating. However, now that his life and death was in someone else's hands, someone could kill him with just a thought. Only then did he understand how torturous and desperate it was. Taoist friend, please have mercy. At this time, the several demon clan experts guarding the ancient road rushed over, led by a tall, dark-faced man. This black-faced man had a head full of thick purple hair, and between his hair were 2 golden horns. A powerful flood dragon aura erupted from this man's body. A saint-level flood dragon. Gu-Fei smiled. Save me, the triangular-eyed guy said to the dark-faced man. At this moment, Gu-Fei stretched out his hand and grabbed the formation map that was hovering above his head. Then, he crushed it into pieces. Gotcha! The secret treasure in the hands of the triangular-eyed guy immediately shattered, causing his hand to bleed. However, he didn't seem to feel it. Pooh! Gu-Fei pointed his finger again. A golden light flashed, and the triangular-eyed man's left arm turned into a cloud of blood mist, completely disappearing. The triangular-eyed man screamed. This was an injury of the Great Path. With his cultivation, it was difficult for him to heal such an injury. His blood essence was constantly being drained from his body. Fellow Taoist, you're going too far, the black-faced man said angrily. Humph, you should know very well whether I'm going overboard or not, Gu-Fei said disapprovingly. You! The black-faced man couldn't help but change his expression when he heard this. He naturally knew the evil deeds of these three good-for-nothings, but they were, after all, the descendants of the Green Jiao Great Sage. The Green Flood Dragon Great Sage was his immediate superior. If all three of them died here and the Green Flood Dragon Great Sage blamed him, he would have to bear the consequences. Junior, you're too arrogant. At this moment, a voice came down from the sky. Then, the figure of a huge dragon rushed out from the clouds in the sky. The Green Dragon Great Sage has arrived, someone exclaimed. The Green Dragon Great Sage was the demon race's great sage responsible for guarding the ancient road to heaven. A powerful saint's aura descended from the sky, shaking the whole world. Great-grandfather, save me! The triangular-eyed man shouted excitedly when he saw the dragon in the sky. Great-grandfather was a great sage. It would be easy for him to kill this abominable kid. Ha ha, kid, you're dead. The triangular-eyed man who was just begging for mercy became arrogant again. At this moment Yen, who had been standing next to Gu-Fei, couldn't help but shake her head. Pooh! Gu-Fei pointed his finger, and a sword wave rushed out from his finger. The next moment, the triangular-eyed man's body exploded. His muscles, bones, flesh, and blood all turned into blood mist. Even his primordial spirit dissipated in the void. This, everyone was shocked. The Green Dragon Great Sage had already arrived, but this black-robed young man still dared to attack the triangular-eyed man. Was he really not afraid of the Great Sage? This person. The black-faced man was suddenly shocked. He seemed to have thought of something. Then, his forehead was sweating, and his body trembled involuntarily. The arrogant and despotic triangular-eyed man was dead. Everyone nearby who saw this felt very happy. If this was not the territory of the demon race, they would have already cheered. Roar, I want you to die! The voice of the incomparably huge green dragon Great Sage came down from the sky. An extremely powerful Great Sage's aura descended from the sky. Rumble! A huge beast claw grabbed down from the sky, covering the entire sky. The world suddenly darkened, as if it had instantly fallen into the night. No! The black-faced man roared and turned to flee. What's wrong? The black-faced man's subordinates were extremely shocked. Wasn't it a good thing that the Green Dragon Great Sage was here? With the Green Dragon Great Sage taking care of this guy, why did he have to flee? However, in the next moment, the experts from the demon clan knew why their superior had fled. Swoosh! The black-robed young man raised his head and looked up. Two beams of primal chaos divine light shot out from his eyes and pierced through the void. They also pierced through the gigantic green beast claw that came down from the sky. Roar! A roar sounded, and the green beast claw retracted. Crystal clear blood sprinkled from the sky, and each drop of blood exuded a powerful aura. This, everyone was dumbfounded. Even the powerful Green Dragon Great Sage was injured. How was this possible? What was the background of this black-clothed young man? Is this guy pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger? The experts among the demon race were shocked to the extreme, looking at this scene incredulously. You are! At this time, the Green Dragon Great Sage in the sky suddenly trembled and almost fell from the sky. The huge green dragon great sage disappeared, and a tall old man appeared high in the sky. He flew down from the sky, trembling, and then lay at the feet of the black-clothed young man. Seeing this scene, everyone couldn't believe that the powerful green dragon great sage was so afraid. Who was this black-clothed young man? It's him. A powerful existence happened to pass by, saw the black-clothed young man, and immediately turned to leave. A bronze chariot originally rushed from the sky, and an incomparably powerful aura came from the chariot. A great figure among the divine path was going to the human realm. However, just as the bronze chariot was about to reach the entrance of the ancient road to heaven, it suddenly turned around and left. Damn it, why did he come back from the human realm? Such a low voice came from the bronze chariot. I killed your descendants, what are you going to do? Gu Fei didn't look at the green dragon great sage who was lying at his feet. He could directly ignore an existence like the green dragon great sage. Hearing Gu Fei's words, the green dragon great sage who was lying on the ground trembled even more violently, and beads of sweat the size of soybeans kept appearing on his forehead. The triangular-eyed man was one of his favorite descendants, but he was arrogant and domineering. He knew that his grandson would get into big trouble sooner or later. However, the green dragon great sage didn't care, because in the world of cultivation, the strong were respected. Those people were killed by his grandson because they were weak, and he couldn't blame anyone. Moreover, no one could kill his grandson because he gave him a secret treasure. Only he could bully others, and no one could bully him. However, there were always exceptions. In the face of an ordinary sage, a great sage's secret treasure was naturally invincible and had overwhelming power. However, in front of Gu Fei, it was not enough. The thing that the green dragon great sage had been worried about had really happened. That disappointing guy really got into trouble today, and he even implicated himself. If this matter was not handled properly, it would be a catastrophe. So be it. They dared to offend you, so they deserve to die, the green dragon great sage said with a trembling voice. Very well, this matter is settled, Gu Fei said. Little friend Gu Fei, how about coming up and having a chat? At this moment, a voice came from the sky. Gu Fei smiled, then rushed up to the sky with Yen'er, and flew towards the floating divine island in the sky. They landed on the divine island and walked into a pavilion. Inside the pavilion, a white-haired young man was drinking by himself. Greetings, ancestor. Gu Fei and Yen'er dared not neglect him, because this white-haired young man had a great background. He was of the same generation as the Supreme Emperor, and was the uncle of the old tortoise. The uncle of the old tortoise had almost returned to his peak state in the past. The great calamity might come soon, and an existence like him was naturally prepared. I haven't seen you for a while, and you've become so distant. The white-haired young man looked up at Gu Fei and said, This must be your wife. Yes, this is my wife, Yen'er, Gu Fei said. Come and sit with us, the white-haired young man said. Gu Fei was not a pretentious person. He took Yen'er's hand, walked over, and sat down at the table. The white-haired young man took out 2 cups and personally poured a cup of immortal brew for Gu Fei and Yen'er. Yen'er curiously looked at the celestial wine in the cup. The celestial wine in the cup had a dark green color, and was a bit thick. The aroma wasn't very strong, but it made people feel comfortable when they smelled it. Ancestors' immortal brew is not something that just anyone can drink, Gu Fei said to Yen'er. Is that so? Yen'er said in surprise. Little friend, you must be joking. The white-haired young man smiled. He thought highly of Gu Fei, and it was good that the old tortoise could be brothers with such a person. Looks like little friend has already taken that step. This is truly a cause for celebration. This time, my nephew is going to go crazy again, haha. The white-haired young man laughed. I was just lucky. Chapter 29:15. Heavenly Realm, West Underworld Sea. On the Divine Island, the demon race's old ancestor and Gu Fei had a pleasant conversation. In the end, Gu Fei and Yen'er stayed on the Divine Island for a few months, discussing the Tao with the demon race's old ancestor. No one dared to mention the matter of Green Jiao Great Sage's 3 grandchildren in front of the demon race's old ancestor because such a matter could not be hidden from him. Especially Green Jiao Great Sage, he never thought of asking the demon race's old ancestor to help him. This matter seemed to have been forgotten. Gu Fei, on the other hand, benefited a lot from the process of discussing the Tao with the demon race's old ancestor. After all, the demon race's old ancestor was an expert who had lived for countless years. He was of the same generation as the legendary Tai Huang. His guidance made Gu Fei feel as if the clouds were dispelling the mist to see the blue sky. Moreover, Gu Fei discovered that this demon race's old ancestor was actually a quasi-supreme. This was too awesome. One should know that a quasi-supreme was the most important step towards becoming a sovereign. This demon race's old ancestor was truly extraordinary. He once fought with the Tai Huang, and in the end, the Tai Huang made the ultimate leap and became an invincible sovereign in the 9 heavens and 10 earths. However, this demon race's old ancestor was unable to make the ultimate leap and become a sovereign. In these few months, Gu Fei gradually adjusted his condition. He wanted to face the heavenly tribulation in his best condition to take this crucial step. This kind of thing could not be rushed. Taking this step was not the slightest bit easier than making the ultimate leap. Since ancient times, countless people were stuck in the heavenly sovereign realm, unable to take this step in their entire lives. However, Gu Fei did it. The only thing he lacked was to face the heavenly tribulation. Once he did, he would become a true quasi-sovereign. On this day, Gu Fei left the Divine Island with Yener. They traveled in the heavenly realm. The West Earth was vast, and there was more than just the West Underworld Sea. One of the 4 almighties of the human realm, Violet Sovereign, had stayed in the West Earth for a long time. Balon, the Fire Qilin, followed Gu Fei and his wife and became Gu Fei's mount. This made some experts of the demon clan feel dissatisfied. One should know that the Fire Qilin Balon was a Qilin Saint Emperor of the demon clan. He was only 1 step away from becoming a Qilin Great Saint. Balon's progress was obvious to all, but he was still a little worse than Shaoqing. The reason was simple. Shaoqing was Old Tortoise's disciple, but Balon was not. Therefore, Old Tortoise could not teach him personally. Just as Gu Fei and Yan were traveling in the heaven realm, a crack suddenly appeared on the shell of a godly beast egg in the void of the mountain river cauldron. Kacha. The creature inside pierced a hole in the eggshell of the divine beast egg. Then, the eggshell shattered, and a furry thing drilled out of the eggshell. It was a chick the size of a fist. This made Gu Fei speechless. Gu Fei had his eyes on this godly beast egg when it was acting strangely. When he obtained this godly beast egg, he threw it into the mountain river cauldron and fed it with the phoenix marrow he obtained in the ancient world of chaos. Today, the phoenix marrow had been completely absorbed by the godly beast egg. After absorbing the phoenix marrow, the godly beast egg finally broke out of its shell. However, it was only a chick. This made him very disappointed. He thought that the chick that broke out of the godly beast egg was a little phoenix. However, when Gu Fei took the chick out of the mountain river cauldron, Yener fell in love with this little thing. She actually fed it with spirit fruits. Riding the Fire Qilin and traveling with his wife was the most romantic thing Gu Fei had ever done. While Gu Fei and Yan were traveling in the heaven realm, in the depths of an unexplored area of the heaven realm stood a huge and ancient temple. A figure was sitting cross-legged in the hall, emitting a faint golden Buddhist light. 3 supreme Buddhist weapons refined by the ancient Buddhist Lord were placed on the ground in front of the figure. This figure was the incarnation of the Millennium Buddhist Lord who suddenly appeared and took away the 3 supreme Buddhist weapons from Gu Fei. Back then, the incarnation of the Millennium Buddhist Lord completely disappeared after entering the heaven realm. No one would have thought that the incarnation of the Millennium Buddhist Lord would come to an ancient temple in the uninhabited area. Is it not time yet? The incarnation of the Millennium Buddhist Lord sitting in the temple muttered to himself. Then, he closed his eyes as if he had turned into a golden Buddha statue, and remained motionless. Buddhism actually had its inheritance in the heaven realm. However, in the current era, the inheritance of Buddhism in the heaven realm had long disappeared. Even the temple had been abandoned. The heaven realm was incomparably vast. The unexplored areas of the human race were full of unknown and mysteries. In another uninhabited area of the heaven realm, in the middle of an endless mountain range, there was a hill that was even taller than the mountain range. At this time, there was a skeleton with a mysterious yellow aura on its body digging a hole on this hill. This mysterious yellow skeleton was the one that appeared during the Heavenly Ruins War. Back then, the mysterious yellow skeleton swept through the four directions and was invincible. It directly charged into the heaven realm and disappeared from the eyes of the world. Who would have thought that this mysterious yellow skeleton was actually digging a grave? That's right, the hill that was even bigger than the mountain was a huge grave. A grave of a peerless expert from ancient times. Whether it was the incarnation of the Millennium Buddhist Lord or the mysterious yellow skeleton, they were both preparing for something. Gu Fei and Yan were enjoying a rare time with just the two of them. Like an ordinary husband and wife, they traveled through the 5 great regions of the heaven realm. They deliberately went to the northern snowy region. Gu Fei wanted to find Zhao Ziru. His appearance made the already tense atmosphere of the northern snowy region even more tense. Especially the desolate ancient Zhao clan of the heaven realm. When Gu Fei arrived, everyone from the Zhao clan went into hiding, not daring to show themselves. The Heavenly Wolf Old Ancestor appeared and brought Gu Fei and Yan into the Heavenly Wolf City. Gu Fei's arrival greatly boosted the morale of the Heavenly Wolf clan. They no longer needed to be afraid of the slightest thing. The people of the Heavenly Snow Palace also noticed the arrival of Gu Fei and Yan. This branch of the northern snowy region gave people a mysterious feeling. Even at this time, the Heavenly Snow Palace still did not have a true expert that could suppress everything. Of course, no one doubted the strength of the Heavenly Snow Palace. Although this branch was mysterious, each of its descendants had a heaven-defying talent. They were all synonymous with strength. Gu Fei specially went to the prison zone and found that it had been completely destroyed. All the beasts and great evils that were imprisoned there, as long as they were not completely dead, had already escaped. I wonder what Ming Qiong is doing. Chapter 29:16. Gu Fei wasn't worried about Ming Qiong's disappearance at all because he had placed a restriction on him. As long as Ming Qiong's cultivation was lower than his, he would have to listen to him obediently. Once Gu Fei passed the quasi-supreme heavenly tribulation, Ming Qiong would have no chance of regaining his freedom. Gu Fei yearned to go to the outer realm. What kind of world was that exactly? Could there be a great world that even an extreme Tao Prime could not discover? The mortal realm and the heaven realm were 2 complete and independent worlds, which were also Yuan Tiancheng's big world. However, ever since the mortal world was broken in the primordial era, it was no longer complete. The Grand Tao was incomplete, so the only world that could be considered a complete world was the heavenly realm. Perhaps the outer realm was also a large world, but whether it was the human realm or the heaven realm, there were no records of the outer realm. To Gu Fei and all living beings, the outer realm was a foreign place. Inside the Celestial Wolf City's Lord's Mansion, Gu Fei was listening to the Celestial Wolf Ancestor's report on what happened in the northern snowy region after he left. Gu Fei was a little disappointed because he still hadn't heard anything about Zhao Ziru from the Celestial Wolf Ancestor. Some said that the Zhao clan's goddess had already left the heavenly realm. Some people even said that the goddess of the Zhao family had encountered a great opportunity and entered an unknown world. Of course, these were just rumors that the Celestial Wolf Ancestor had heard. The primordial Zhao clan in the heavenly realm had disappeared again, and all the higher-ups had gone missing. This was because Gu Fei had returned. Of course, there were still people in charge of the primordial Zhao clan's territory. Some cities and spiritual lands full of vitality needed to be managed. Gu Fei didn't have time to bother with these guys. The Zhao clan in the heavenly realm was nothing to him. They were just a cultivation clan that he had crippled. They couldn't cause any trouble. Did I enter another world? Gu Fei couldn't help but ponder after hearing the Celestial Wolf Ancestor's words. Perhaps there really was a passage to another unknown world in the northern snowy region. Perhaps Zhao Ziru had really encountered her opportunity. More than a month later, Gu Fei left the northern snowy region with Yener. He vaguely felt that there was a great secret hidden in the northern snowy region. However, this kind of big secret was not something he could explore right now. After leaving the northern snowy region, Gu Fei brought Yener to the southern mountains. In the southern mountains of the Heaven Realm, there were two great powers competing against each other. The southern mountains' god Emperor Tseng Xiao and the Fire Emperor were confronting each other. The atmosphere was very tense, and the two great powers could start a war at any time. Countless cultivators left the southern mountains range. They had no choice but to leave because they were rogue cultivators. They didn't want to join any faction. Just when the southern mountains' god Emperor Tseng Xiao and the Fire Emperor were at each other's throats, a person who shouldn't have appeared. This person's appearance was enough to change the balance of power in the entire southern mountains. The Fire Emperor was very uneasy because he and the Eastern Earth's Yuan ancient celestial emperor were allies. From a certain perspective, he could also be considered Gu Fei's enemy. Many experts of the fire race had died in the hands of Gu Fei's subordinates. On the other hand, the southern mountains' god Emperor Tseng Xiao was very happy about Gu Fei's arrival because he basically had no grudges with Gu Fei. Moreover, his subordinate, the granddaughter of the Luoxia city's city lord, was also Gu Fei's grand disciple. With such a relationship, the southern mountains' god Emperor Tseng Xiao naturally sent someone to invite the Luoxia city lord, the old immortal emperor, over. Then, he asked the old immortal emperor to entertain Gu Fei and Yener. Yener had stayed in the Luoxia courtyard for a period of time. This time, she and Gu Fei naturally stayed in the Luoxia courtyard when they came to the southern mountains. Soon, the southern mountains' god Emperor Tseng Xiao personally came to visit Gu Fei. Gu Fei naturally knew the purpose of the southern mountains' god emperor's visit. The southern mountains' god emperor wanted to rope him in so that they could fight the fire emperor together. However, Gu Fei wasn't stupid. He wouldn't let others use him as a tool. After chatting with the southern mountains' god emperor for about an hour, he sent the southern mountains' god emperor away. He didn't agree to fight the fire emperor with the southern mountains' god emperor, but he didn't refuse either. He didn't express his stance either. This gave the southern mountains' god emperor some hope. "Why is that little guy Gu Fei here again?" Such words came from the ancestral land of the fire race. "Pass down my order. Don't provoke that guy for no reason." The Fire Emperor's voice spread across the entire ancestral land and into the ears of every expert of the fire race. This made all the experts of the fire race feel very unconvinced. This was especially true for the new generation of experts of the fire race. They didn't believe that Gu Fei was really that powerful. One should know that the fire race was an incomparably powerful race in the distant past. There was once a quasi-supreme being in the fire race. He was only one step away from becoming a supreme being. Even in the current era, the fire race was still a strong race in the heavenly realm. Even the southern mountains' god emperor, Tseng Xiao, was suppressed by the fire emperor and half of the southern mountains was taken away. Some people of the fire race found it hard to understand why the fire emperor had passed down such an order. However, even if the people of the fire race were dissatisfied, they didn't dare to object because the fire emperor had supreme prestige in the fire race. He was the ruler of the fire race. Gu Fei and Yener stayed in the Luoxia courtyard for some peace and quiet. However, since the first day they stayed in the Luoxia courtyard, people kept coming to visit them. Even the fire emperor sent someone to meet Gu Fei. At dusk, Gu Fei was lying on a rattan chair in the courtyard. He was enjoying the immortal fruits that Yener had given him. A palm-sized chick was sitting on Yener's shoulder. This little chick had a great appetite. It could eat hundreds of immortal fruits in a single meal. Gu Fei couldn't help but be moved by this. It was truly hard to imagine that this little chick had stuffed so many immortal fruits into its tiny body. The chick grew very fast after eating the immortal fruits. Its feathers began to emit a faint fiery light. "Could this chick be a fire phoenix?" Gu Fei said. "Maybe, little chick. What do you think?" Yener said while playing with the chick on her shoulder. The fluffy chick immediately let out a crisp cry as if it was responding. This chick was full of spirituality. It was definitely a divine bird. However, even Gu Fei couldn't tell what this chick was. This made Gu Fei feel that it was unbelievable. Perhaps this divine bird had a seal placed by its father, and its divinity hadn't appeared yet. Once the seal was unlocked, it would return to its original state. To a certain extent, even Gu Fei couldn't tell what kind of divine bird it was. This was enough to show how extraordinary it was. Chapter 29:17. At dusk, in the Luoxia courtyard, a figure, facing the sunset, walked over from afar and came to the entrance of the courtyard. Why is he here? In the courtyard, Gu Fei, who was leisurely lying on a rattan chair, suddenly felt something and frowned. What's wrong? Yenner said. There's a guest, Gu Fei said. What? Yenner was surprised because she couldn't sense anyone's aura, but Gu Fei wouldn't lie to her. It could only mean that the person was very clever and his cultivation was far above hers. I'm not coming in. Gu Fei was somewhat surprised. The person outside didn't seem to have any intention of entering the Luoxia courtyard. He just stood there quietly. However, the Fire Qilin Baron, who stood outside the Luoxia courtyard, didn't seem to see that person. Balon transformed into his original form, lying outside the entrance of the courtyard and dozing off. His eyes were half closed, and he looked very lazy. This was the divine beast Fire Qilin. Even though it was lying there, the aura of the divine beast was not something that ordinary cultivators could withstand. Balon had followed the old tortoise for so many years and received the old tortoise's guidance. The bloodline of the divine beast in his body was constantly recovering. He was no longer the little guy he used to be. He knew that Gu Fei didn't want to be disturbed, so he stood guard outside the courtyard and stopped those who could enter. As for those who couldn't, there was nothing he could do. At this time, Balon didn't know that there was someone standing in front of him. To be able to completely deceive the Qilin Saint Emperor Balon, this person's cultivation must be unimaginably strong. It seems that guy is really coming in, Gu Fei said. Then don't pay attention to those people, Yenner said. Let's go out and have a look. Are you coming? Gu Fei said to Yenner. No, I'll just stay here and feed the chicks. Yenner shook her head and said. She didn't want to see outsiders. Sometimes, she just wanted to stay quietly and do her own things. She didn't need to worry about other trivial things. With Yenner's temperament, she was quiet and inactive, as pure as a piece of white paper. She was born to cultivate and comprehend the Tao. All right, I'll be right back. As Gu Fei spoke, he stood up from the rattan chair and took a step forward. In the next moment, he appeared outside the Luoxia courtyard's entrance. However, the Fire Qilin Balon did not sense Gu Fei's presence. Gu Fei seemed to have blended into the surrounding void. No one could sense his presence. Not only could Balon not sense Gu Fei's presence, he couldn't even see him with his naked eye. In front of him, Gu Fei was like air. Fire Emperor has arrived. Sorry for not going out to welcome you. Gu Fei arrived in front of that person and said such words. Brother Gu, I didn't expect you to take that step. Congratulations, said the blurry figure. Although this person's body was faint, he gave people the feeling of a high mountain. It was as if he was a supreme existence above the 9 heavens that could dominate everything. What was a superior? This was a superior. I was just lucky, Gu Fei said with a smile. The level of cultivation is definitely not luck. Brother Gu, you are too humble, said Fire Emperor. The Fire Emperor said. He knew very well that since ancient times, there had been countless talented people who had been stuck at the holy venerate realm forever, unable to take that step. One could imagine how difficult it was to take that step. It was definitely not luck, as Gu Fei said. Ha ha, if you say that I am too humble, then I am too humble. By the way, why did you come to me? We don't seem to be friends. Aren't you afraid that I will kill you? Said Gu Fei as he looked at Fire Emperor with a smile that was not a smile. They were talking, but Balon didn't notice them at all. He couldn't sense the existence of Gu Fei and Fire Emperor at all. Haha, Brother Gu must be joking. If Brother Gu wanted to kill me, you wouldn't have said so much to me. Don't you think so? Fire Emperor was still calm and composed. You are very smart, said Gu Fei. This guy was the leader of the fire race, and he had lived for countless years. Indeed, even his eyelashes were empty. Brother Gu, you flatter me. Brother Gu, why don't we go to the outer space and spar? Fire Emperor said. You are here to fight with me. Gu Fei's tone turned cold. It is too vulgar to say that. It is a spar, not a life and death battle. Between us, there doesn't seem to be a life and death battle. Fire Emperor said. Sigh, so be it. If you want to fight, hurry up. Gu Fei said. All right. Fire Emperor said as he soared into the sky. He took a step and instantly entered the starry sky. His speed was extremely fast. I want to see what this leader of the fire race is capable of. Gu Fei muttered to himself. He suddenly looked at the sky and disappeared. When he reappeared, he had already entered the starry sky and was opposite Fire Emperor. Please! Fire Emperor cupped his hands and said to Gu Fei. Then I won't stand on ceremony. Gu Fei stretched out his hand and the dozens of stars in the sky immediately shrank. He refined them in an instant and grabbed them in his hand. Go! Gu Fei let out a soft shout and the dozen or so stars in his hand immediately shot out and smashed towards the Fire Emperor opposite him. Although the dozen marble-like stars had been refined by Gu Fei, their might had increased. Seeing the dozen or so stars smashing towards him, the Fire Emperor merely waved his sleeves and the dozen or so stars immediately flew off to unknown places. Swoosh! Then, a fire dragon rushed out of his body and pounced at Gu Fei with bared fangs and brandished claws. The fire dragon soared into the sky and the entire starry sky shook. Terrifying energy waves spread out and caused a huge tremor in the starry sky. The stars were on the verge of collapsing as if they were about to fall from the sky. Fire Emperor was indeed Fire Emperor. When he attacked, he was much stronger than ordinary holy venerables and shook the starry sky. Me too. Gu Fei pressed his right hand forward and a chaos dragon rushed out of his hand, heading towards the Fire Emperor's fire dragon. Two dragon silhouettes appeared in the starry sky. This was an absolutely shocking scene, but not many people were able to witness this scene. These two fellows are finally fighting. A figure stood on the mountain peak and looked up as he muttered to himself. At the same time, some experts in the Nanling region sensed something and looked up at the starry sky. Boom! With a loud bang, the two dragons instantly collided with each other, causing the starry sky to tremble. A terrifying wave of destructive power spread out, causing the stars to explode and the entire void to collapse and be annihilated. Rumble! Pitch-black spatial cracks spread out like lightning. Those spatial cracks were much bigger than stars, and some stars were swallowed up by them. Chapter 29:18. Gu Fei and the Fire Emperor fought in the depths of the starry sky. Powerful waves came down from the starry sky, shocking all the cultivators in the southern region of the Heaven Realm. Who is the Fire Emperor fighting? Many people were curious. In the south mountains of the Heaven Realm, Gu Fei was not as famous as the Fire Emperor and the South Mountains God Emperor Tseng Xiao. Not many people knew who was fighting with the Fire Emperor. Some of the old antiques in the South Mountains were shocked. Some thought that another super cultivator had appeared in the South Mountains, who could fight against the South Mountains God Emperor Tseng Xiao and the Fire Emperor. For many years, the Heavenly Realm's southern mountains had been fighting for hegemony, causing the southern mountains to be in turmoil. If another super expert were to appear, then the southern mountains would fall into chaos. At that time, the people would be plunged into misery and suffering. It was unknown how many creatures would suffer calamity. He fought with someone again. Sigh. In the courtyard of Luoxia City, Yana looked up at the sky and shook her head. She continued to play with the chick that was eating the celestial fruit on the table. At this time, in the depths of the starry sky, two powerful waves of power were surging. The entire starry sky was shaking, and thousands of stars were on the verge of collapse. Two figures moved quickly in the starry sky. Boom! Bang! The two cultivators were like invincible gods from the Yuan dynasty. They collided fiercely. Everywhere they passed, stars exploded. It was extremely terrifying. The Fire Emperor lives up to his reputation, Gu Fei said as he attacked. Chaotic chi was surging all over his body. He used a simple battle skill, but it showed unimaginable power. You are not bad either. The younger generation will surpass the older, said the Fire Emperor. He was like an innate fire god. The great path of fire was surging all over his body. In the starry sky, he was as bright as a divine sun. The light of the fire illuminated the dim starry sky. Although the two cultivators were fighting, they did not hold back. It was extremely dangerous. If one was not careful, one could be injured by the other or even die. I didn't expect you to also take that step, said Gu Fei. He used the sky-covering hand and sent the Fire Emperor flying thousands of miles away. Accumulation is the result of countless years of accumulation. Unlike you, you actually took that step in this generation, Fire Emperor said. At the same time, he stretched out his right hand and 5 flames rushed out from his 5 fingers. The 5 flames instantly turned into 5 incomparably huge fire dragons that soared thousands of feet into the sky. They knocked Gu Fei away in an instant. The fire dragons wreaked havoc, shaking the starry sky. Every fire dragon was larger than the Milky Way. Even in the Nanling region, this miraculous scene could be clearly seen. 5 gigantic fire dragons appeared in the starry sky. Countless cultivators in the southern mountains land were shocked to the extreme when they saw this. Some even thought that a real dragon was born. Slash! Gu Fei shouted loudly, and a sword cry resounded from his body. After that, 5 extremely sharp sword lights instantly slashed apart the 5 fire dragons. What? Someone actually killed the dragon? In the Nanling region, many people saw the 5 dragons that appeared in the starry sky break into several pieces and dissipate in the starry sky. The Sword of Slaughter. Fire Emperor was shocked. He felt a heart-palpitating aura from Gu Fei's sword light. It was as though Gu Fei had turned into an earth-shattering sword at that moment. The 9 heaven-punishing swords were said to be able to kill even the heavens. This sword principle was originally a path of killing. A single strike of the sword could destroy everything in the world. It was extremely powerful. Buzz! The sword cry resounded and streaks of chaotic light rushed out of Gu Fei's body. The chaotic light bloomed on his body like a chaotic divine lotus. A shocking sword intent spread out from his body. Flying celestial sword! Gu Fei waved his right hand and the chaotic sword radiance that bloomed from his body immediately soared into the sky and slashed towards Fire Emperor. The overwhelming sword radiance shrouded the entire starry sky. This is... Fire Emperor was shocked when he saw this. This sword principle seemed to be very similar to the ancient heavenly emperor's flying celestial sword principle. However, it was much more powerful than the flying celestial sword principle. Ha! This isn't the ancient heavenly emperor's flying celestial sword principle. Gu Fei laughed and said, All laws are void, supreme fire path. The Fire Emperor roared and performed the secret skill of the fire race. A monstrous divine fire rushed out of his body and instantly enveloped half of the starry sky. Then, the endless divine fire turned into a huge whirlpool and swallowed the countless chaotic sword lights that were slashing at him. Supreme Fire Path. Gu Fei smiled. He didn't even dare to call himself a supreme martial path with his current cultivation. This Fire Emperor was too arrogant. All right, the warm-up is over. Let me experience the true abilities of a supreme fire path. Seeing that the countless chaotic sword radiance that he had unleashed were all devoured by the huge whirlpool of flames, Gu Fei had no choice but to get serious. The devouring power that came from the whirlpool of flames devoured countless stars and the surrounding starry sky. However, it couldn't shake Gu Fei. However, he charged straight into the huge whirlpool of flames in front of him. Boom! In the next moment, the whirlpool of flames exploded. Gu Fei performed the chaotic fist, and the invincible fist force surged out, shattering the whirlpool of flames from the inside. Virum. The void vibrated and Gu Fei displayed the invincible fist intent. A figure fell out of the void and staggered a few steps before regaining his balance. All right, let's stop here for today. We'll spar again when we have time. The Fire Emperor reached out to wipe the trace of blood from the corner of his mouth and said, Do you think I'll stop just because you said so? I haven't had enough yet. Gu Fei threw a punch at Fire Emperor. It seemed like an ordinary punch. However, in the eyes of the Flame Emperor, he saw a fist that was intertwined with endless Tao laws. Traces of Tao laws were like invisible spider webs that rushed out of the other party's fist and enveloped the entire starry sky. There was no way to avoid it. Fire Emperor immediately realized the power of Gu Fei's punch. The invisible Tao laws that rushed out of Gu Fei's fist had already covered the entire sky. There was no way he could avoid it. Brother Gu, it's enough to stop. Why are you taking it so seriously? Fire Emperor said. At the same time, he threw a punch. Boom! The two fists collided, and there was a loud bang. It was as though two primordial divine mountains were colliding. It was extremely shocking. The stars around the two experts exploded like fireworks in the darkness. After a dazzling brilliance, they were annihilated in the starry sky. Kacha. Chapter 29-19. Chaotic martial body? The Fire Emperor's body was surrounded by divine fire. 9 flame-shaped patterns intertwined on his body. Each flame pattern emitted a strong wave of the Great Path. The descendant of the martial ancestor is indeed a natural warrior. The Fire Emperor praised. I don't need you to say that. A voice was heard. Then, a figure passed through the destructive storm formed by the exploding stars and appeared in front of the Fire Emperor. At this time, the Fire Emperor's right fist was twisted strangely. It was obvious that the bones in his arm had been broken by Gu Fei's punch just now. However, his right arm was shaking slightly and the broken bones were recovering rapidly. A flame flashed and the Fire Emperor's right arm was completely recovered as if it had never been injured. At the Fire Emperor's level of cultivation, the injuries on his body could almost be completely ignored. As long as his primordial spirit was not damaged, even if his body turned into ashes, he could still condense a new body. Since you want to fight to your heart's content, I'll fulfill your wish. I also want to know how strong you are. The Fire Emperor looked at Gu Fei and said seriously. Since that's the case, let's not hide anymore. Let's fight to our heart's content. Gu Fei said heroically. Fight! The Fire Emperor roared and took a step forward. Suddenly, a monstrous divine fire surged in the void and swallowed Gu Fei instantly. Rumble! The divine fire burned the sky and the entire starry sky was illuminated. The stars were drowned by the mighty divine fire and then exploded, turning into ashes. This scene was too shocking. The entire starry sky seemed to be ignited by a raging fire. The terrifying power of fire spread between heaven and earth. What's happening? At this time, countless cultivators in the Nadling land were alarmed. Even some old antiques who were in seclusion rushed out from their seclusion grounds. Fire Emperor, it's the Fire Emperor. Who is fighting with the Fire Emperor? Someone said something like that. Is the Fire Emperor and the God Emperor finally going to fight to the death? Someone said in shock. Is the final battle coming? Some experts frowned. After all, ever since the Fire Emperor had awakened from his slumber, he had started a war with God Emperor Tsung Shao. The Fire Emperor had led the Fire Tribe and occupied half of God Emperor Tsung Zhao's territory. However, the two great experts of the Southern Mountains range had never truly fought against each other before. Both of them were very wary of each other. At their cultivation levels, once they fought, it would definitely shock the world and affect the situation of an entire region. Actually, many people in the Southern Ridge continent didn't wish to see these two emperors fight because the effects of it would be too great. The battle in the starry sky shook the entire Nanling Mountains cultivation world. Some experts directly soared into the sky to watch the battle in outer space. At this time, the Fire Emperor and Gu Fei started fighting. In the endless sea of fire, two figures were moving quickly. Gu Fei punched out. The chaotic chi was vast and mighty, and a large area of divine fire was instantly extinguished. It collided with a fist that was surrounded by raging flames. Bang! The two fists collided and the two silhouettes quickly separated. The void between the two collapsed instantly and a terrifying aura spread out in all directions. The Fire Emperor also took that step and displayed the strongest combat skills and divine abilities of the Fire Tribe. He fought with Gu Fei without being at a disadvantage. Gu Fei was very shocked. He wasn't the only one who had taken that step. The Fire Emperor had also taken that step. However, he realized that the Fire Emperor hadn't become a true quasi-sovereign. He hadn't transcended the tribulation. In other words, the Fire Emperor and Gu Fei were at the same realm. They were invincible among warriors of the same realm. Gu Fei was incomparably powerful. Every punch he threw would break the bones of the Fire Emperor's arm. The chaotic martial body was extremely powerful. Even someone as powerful as the Fire Emperor found it difficult to contend against it. The two great experts fought into the depths of the endless starry sky. A terrifying aura spread out and stars kept exploding. They intentionally stayed away from the ground. The heaven realm was similar to the ancient great world of the human realm. It was an endless continent, and on this continent, there were rivers, lakes, and seas. In the sky above the heaven realm continent, there was an endless starry sky. No one knew how big the heaven realm was. The 5 great regions of the cultivation world were only the regions that had been explored. At this time, Gu Fei and the Fire Emperor were fighting as they left the Heaven Realm continent and entered the depths of the endless starry sky. Two madmen. Above a bright moon in the Heaven Realm, a figure dressed in snow-white clothes stood in front of a palace. Looking at Gu Fei and the Fire Emperor who were far away, he muttered to himself. There was a towering ancient tree planted in front of the palace. It was unknown how long this ancient tree had been growing. The bark of the huge tree was like a dragon's scales, and the roots were intertwined on the ground. The entire tree almost covered half of the moon. This was a cassia tree. Under the roots of the tree, there was a rabbit's nest. A jade rabbit was peeking out from the rabbit's nest. From the outside, it looked like a barren divine moon without any life force. This was the result of someone using great magical force, great divine abilities to hide the true divine moon. The battle between Gu Fei and the Fire Emperor had alarmed a heavenly lady in the Moon Palace. Even Gu Fei and the Fire Emperor did not notice the heavenly lady above the divine moon. At this time, a great commotion occurred in the depths of the starry sky. Gu Fei and the Fire Emperor no longer had any scruples and attacked with all their might. This was because they were already far away from the Heaven Realm continent. Some of the experts that rushed out from the Heaven Realm continent chased after them. A battle of this level was extremely attractive to all cultivators. Of course, there weren't many people who were qualified to enter the starry sky to watch the battle. The Fire Emperor used all of his skills and even used the Golden Crow technique. He turned into a golden crow and fought with Gu Fei. It was as if 10 divine suns had appeared in the starry sky and they all rushed towards Gu Fei. However, Gu Fei only punched out and directly destroyed the 10 divine suns. The golden crow Dao pattern dissipated, but he rushed over and instantly arrived in front of the Fire Emperor. He punched out again. The Fire Emperor flapped his wings and instantly disappeared. He retreated tens of millions of feet away. He turned into a golden crow and displayed the extreme speed of the golden crow. However, Gu Fei's fist still landed on his body. Bang! Crack! The sound of the collision and the sound of bones breaking rang out at the same time. A golden crow that was like a mountain was sent flying. The flames dissipated and the golden crow's dharma disappeared. A figure fell out of the flames. The Fire Emperor looked down and saw that his chest had collapsed, forming a fist mark. A wave of the power of the Great Path exploded from the fist mark. The next moment, boom! With a sound, his physical body exploded. Endless heavenly fire instantly filled every inch of the void. The surrounding stars kept exploding. The Fire Emperor's physical body exploded. The destructive power was too powerful. It enveloped a part of the starry sky. Countless stars were directly annihilated and completely disappeared in the void. At this time, there was an empty space in the void that blocked the mighty heavenly fire. Chapter 29:20. Gu Fei and the Fire Emperor were fighting in the endless starry sky far away from the Heaven Realm continent. However, they unexpectedly created a mysterious and ancient ruin. The Fire Emperor's body was blasted apart by Gu Fei's punch, but to the Fire Emperor, such an attack could not harm his origin at all. Very quickly, the heavenly flames that were surging out in all directions retreated like a tide. Then, they all gathered together, and a figure appeared in the endless flames. A powerful aura of the great Tao erupted from that figure, and the Fire Emperor's figure reappeared in front of Gu Fei. A terrifying heat wave swept over, causing Gu Fei to frown. This kind of heat was many times higher than the temperature of the true divine sun core. This kind of heat could melt divine iron. At this time, Gu Fei and the Fire Emperor's gazes were attracted by a ruin that had suddenly appeared. This ruin was originally hidden in the void, and even they could not sense its existence. Just now, the Fire Emperor's body had been blasted apart by Gu Fei's punch. The destructive power that erupted should have broken a seal that enveloped the entire ruin. The power of the seal was broken, and a huge ruin appeared in the void. The ruins floating in the starry sky could not be seen at a glance. They were all collapsed pavilions and houses. Among them, there were 3 large words written on a city tower that had not completely collapsed. South Heaven Gate, how is this possible? The Fire Emperor stared at the 3 ancient words on the city tower, and his voice trembled. He recognized the 3 ancient words. It was South Heaven Gate. South Heaven Gate, Heavenly Court. When Gu Fei heard the Fire Emperor's words, he could not help but be shocked. Could it be that this ruin was the former Heavenly Court? Whether it was the Heaven Realm or the human realm, there were legends about the ancient Heavenly Court. However, this was only a legend. Some people even believed that the so-called ancient Heavenly Court did not exist at all. This was because whether it was the human realm or the Heaven Realm, there were no ruins left behind by the ancient Heavenly Court. But now, in the depths of the endless starry sky of the Heaven Realm, such a ruin suddenly appeared, and on the city tower that had not completely collapsed, the 3 ancient words, Southern Heaven Gate, were written. Gu Fei had never seen this kind of ancient language before. It was an incomparably ancient language, most likely the language of the ancient gods. The Fire Emperor had lived for countless years. During his era, this kind of ancient god language had not completely disappeared. However, there were not many people who could understand this kind of ancient god language. Fire Emperor was one of them. The Fire Emperor had once studied this ancient divine text and believed that this divine text should be the divine text of the late primordial era. In other words, this ruin was a primordial era ruin. To Gu Fei, the primordial era was too far away. To the Fire Emperor, it was also a great era. The Fire Emperor achieved his Tao in the late mythological era. After experiencing a great calamity, he survived and reappeared in the primordial era. The Fire Emperor was definitely an old antique. However, to a certain extent, he was also an unlucky fellow. That was because even though he had lived for a long time, he had never been able to take that step. It wasn't until the present that he finally took that step forward after accumulating so much. However, what made him depressed was that Gu Fei, the little fellow in this world, had also taken that step and stood on the same starting line as him. The ancient ruins lay in the starry sky, giving off an aura of endless antiquity. No one knew who sealed this incomparably vast ruin, but now, the seal had been accidentally broken by the Fire Emperor. Shwa! The Fire Emperor directly turned into a ray of fire and instantly rushed over, directly entering the Southern Heaven Gate in the middle of the ruins. Gu Fei was shocked to discover that the figure of the Fire Emperor who had rushed into the Southern Heaven Gate seemed to have become smaller. The moment the Fire Emperor rushed into the Southern Heaven Gate, he felt as if the Fire Emperor had entered the other side of the starry sky, giving off an incomparably distant feeling. Could it be? Gu Fei thought of something and couldn't help but be moved. He hesitated for a moment, then also rushed over and rushed into the southern heaven gate. This is... The moment Gu Fei rushed into the southern heaven gate, he had a strange feeling, as if he had entered another world. As expected, there is a universe inside. Gu Fei sighed. When he looked from the outside, he did not feel that the buildings in the ruins were very tall. However, when he entered the southern heaven gate, he realized that everything in the southern heaven gate had been magnified more than 10 times. At this time, the Fire Emperor disappeared into the depths of the ruins. Shua! Gu Fei did not hesitate and directly rushed into the depths of the ruins. In this ancient ruins, there might be some opportunities. However, what shocked Gu Fei was that he still couldn't see the end of the ruins even after flying for an entire hour in the sky above the ruins for who knows how many tens of thousands of miles. In the ruins, not all the buildings had collapsed. There were still many buildings that remained intact. However, the ruins were silent. Some places were shrouded in an endless aura of death, while some places were shrouded in divine light, lighting up the dark void. Gu Fei instinctively sensed that these places were extremely dangerous. However, danger and opportunities usually appeared together. Places with danger usually had good things. This was a valley that was completely shrouded in an aura of death. Even with Gu Fei's cultivation, he could only see the blurry scenery in the valley with his martial path heavenly eye. He saw the source of the death chi. In the middle of the valley, there was a huge pit, and all the buildings had been destroyed. In the center of the pit, there was a corpse lying on its back. To be more precise, it was a skeleton. A black demonic spear had nailed the skeleton to the ground. The aura of death that shrouded the entire valley originated from this broken black spear. What a terrifying demonic spear! Gu Fei sensed a dangerous aura from the demonic spear. Even though countless years had passed, this broken spear was still a terrifying killing weapon. There were countless secrets buried in the ruins. Could it be that the ancient heavenly court had actually been breached by someone and then destroyed? Gu Fei stood in the air above the valley. He thought of a lot of things. After careful observation, he discovered that there seemed to be some bones buried under the ruins. He flew down from the sky and moved away some broken bricks and tiles on the ground. Some broken bones appeared in front of his eyes. Roar! Just as Gu Fei was deep in thought, a furious roar came from afar. Fire Emperor! Gu Fei was shocked. He immediately rushed into the sky and looked in the direction of the voice. He saw that in the sky thousands of miles away, the Fire Emperor was fighting with a mysterious creature. That is... When Gu Fei saw the mysterious creature that was fighting with the Fire Emperor, he couldn't help but be shocked. The creature that was fighting with the Fire Emperor was actually a shadow condensed from black chi. The black shadow was constantly changing its shape. It did not have a real body at all. Sometimes, it would gather together and transform into a human or other fierce beasts. Sometimes, it would dissipate without a trace. Chapter 29-21. Gu Fei and the Fire Emperor were shocked by the unexpected appearance of the ancient heavenly court. They then stopped fighting and entered the ancient ruins to explore. It seemed that the ancient legends were not all groundless. The ancient heavenly court really did exist, but it was destroyed in the endless years. The ancient ruins gave people an endless and vicissitude aura. The huge ruins buried all the secrets. It was not easy for people in the current world to explore it. Gu Fei walked in the silent ruins and found a huge pit in a valley. There was a corpse that was nailed to death by a black spear in the pit. Countless years had passed and the body of the existence that was nailed to death by the black spear had been melted away, leaving only a skeleton. However, the half of the demon's spear that was nailed to death still had the inextinguishable law of the demon path intertwining on it, emitting a terrifying demon aura. Just as Gu Fei was deep in thought, an angry roar came from afar. It was the Fire Emperor. He seemed to be in trouble and kept roaring as he attacked. Powerful fluctuations of the power of the way of fire spread out, and the dazzling divine fire illuminated the dark void. Swoosh! Gu Fei came closer and stood on a stone tower that had fallen to the ground. He then looked at the Fire Emperor. The starry sky was very dark. Even with Gu Fei's current cultivation, he still felt a chill. The fire that exploded from the Fire Emperor's body lit up the dark space. At this moment, the Fire Emperor was like a burning sun. Inside the sun, the shadow of a three-legged golden bird could be seen. A powerful aura spread from the Fire Emperor's body, but the surrounding space did not shake at all. One must know that the Fire Emperor was in existence that had taken that step. Every move he made had great power. He could shatter the void of the world and pick the stars and the moon. He was almost omnipotent. However, at this moment, the Fire Emperor was very sullen because his attack did not seem to be a threat to the mysterious figure at all. The powerful Fire Path Dao Law transformed into a Fire Path Divine Sword and slashed at the figure. Although the figure dissipated, it immediately reformed and reappeared. What kind of creature is this? In the distance, Gu Fei could not help but feel shocked when he saw this scene. He could not sense any divine thoughts coming from the strange figure at all. There was not even an aura of the Great Path. However, even so, the mysterious figure's battle prowess was extraordinarily great. Wherever the black chi shrouded, the void was annihilated, and all the laws of the Great Path were obliterated. What happened? Gu Fei could not help but think of a possibility. Could it be a manifestation of the evil thoughts of the Supreme Existence after his fall? Gu Fei muttered to himself. He had encountered such a thing before. When he had just entered the heavenly realm, the palace of the moon deities had appeared in the eastern lands of the heavenly realm. He happened to be there and even broke into the palace of the moon deities. In the ancient palace, there was a strange figure formed by the evil thoughts of the moon deities. The figure was extremely powerful and killed all the creatures that broke into the palace. Although Gu Fei and the others had successfully escaped from the palace back then, they were also in danger. If they had not retreated in time, it was very likely that they would have been trapped in the palace. Was it really as he had guessed? There were also supreme beings that had fallen in the ruins of the ancient heavenly court. Then, the evil thoughts were not extinguished and turned into this extremely strange existence. At this time, the Fire Emperor was in big trouble. There were several times when the figure almost pounced on him. Swoosh! The figure pounced towards the Fire Emperor again. Black chi filled the air and a large area of divine fire was instantly annihilated by the terrifying black chi. The Fire Emperor's left hand was swept by the black chi and immediately turned black. Then, it turned into black dust and dissipated in the void. No matter how unfathomable the Fire Emperor's cultivation of the way of fire was, he could not resist the strange corrosive power. Roar! The Fire Emperor roared. He was shocked and angry at the same time. He left an afterimage on the spot and instantly retreated 1,000 feet away. The afterimage was pounced on by the figure and instantly dissipated in the black chi. The law of the Great Path could no longer exist and was destroyed. When Gu Fei saw this scene, he could not help but be dumbfounded. Who was the Fire Emperor? He was an existence that had taken that step and his cultivation was similar to Gu Fei's. However, he was actually forced into such a sorry state by the Black Shadow. Kill! The Fire Emperor was furious. He roared and circulated the heavenly art. 9 flame-shaped Dao patterns rushed out from his body and turned into a golden crow that pounced towards the Black Shadow. In the sky above the ruins of the ancient heavenly court, it was as if 9 divine suns had appeared, illuminating the entire starry sky. An extremely terrifying aura of the way of fire erupted from the 9 golden crows. The moment the 9 golden crows appeared, the temperature in the surrounding area suddenly soared, causing the void to distort. The power of this attack caused even Gu Fei to be moved. It seemed that the Fire Emperor was going to risk his life. He seemed to know the seriousness of the matter. The void was shaken. Under the full power of the Fire Emperor, the void where the ancient heavenly court was located finally produced ripples that could be seen with the naked eye. However, the attack of the Fire Emperor was still unable to shatter the void. The stability of the void where the ancient heavenly court was located was truly unimaginable. Gu Fei had long noticed this point. The ruins of the ancient heavenly court were truly not simple. It was truly hard to imagine who could actually destroy the ancient heavenly court. Since there was an ancient heavenly court, then there was an ancient heavenly emperor who ruled over this heavenly court. The master of the ancient heavenly court was definitely a supreme existence. Otherwise, how could he have established the ancient heavenly court? Could it be that the master of the ancient heavenly court had also fallen here? Thinking of this, Gu Fei's heart couldn't help but tremble. Otherwise, how could there be such an evil thought? In the ruins of the ancient heavenly court, there might even be the corpse of a supreme being. At this time, the 9 golden crows formed by the Fire Emperor's Tao patterns instantly swooped down from the sky. In an instant, they scattered the black shadow and even the black gas was evaporated. Ha ha! The Fire Emperor laughed out loud. In the end, this black shadow was still destroyed by him. Even the black gas was evaporated by the golden crow true fire. No matter what this black shadow was, it would be destroyed by the true fire. However, when Gu Fei saw this scene from afar, he shook his head. If that black shadow was the sovereign evil thought, how could it be so easily destroyed by the Fire Emperor? As expected, the Fire Emperor's laughter suddenly stopped. Traces of black gas seeped out from the void and gathered into a ball. An illusory figure appeared in the void. What? The Fire Emperor was dumbfounded. He looked at the black shadow in front of him in disbelief. Damn it! At this time, the flesh and blood of the Fire Emperor's left arm were reborn. His left arm that had been corroded by the black gas grew once again. He had completely recovered. Buzz! The Fire Emperor waved both of his hands. Rays of bright flaming sword light rushed out from his hands and slashed towards the black shadow that was forming. The black shadow dissipated in the void once again. It was destroyed by the flaming sword light. However, very quickly, the black gas that was destroyed by the sword light appeared out of thin air again. Traces of black gas escaped from the void and gathered together. An illusory figure appeared once again. I don't believe that I can't kill you. The Fire Emperor was furious. He crazily attacked the black shadow. The terrifying power of the great path of fire was vast and mighty. The black shadow was continuously destroyed, but it kept reappearing. There was no sign of it disappearing. At this time, Gu Fei used his martial path heavenly eye and stared at the figure. Very quickly he discovered that the black shadow was an indestructible existence with immortal divinity. However, even with Gu Fei's current cultivation, he still could not find the source of this immortal divinity. As long as the source was not destroyed, the black shadow would not disappear. The Fire Emperor seemed to have noticed this as well. After he destroyed the black shadow again, he directly rushed into the sky and turned into a divine flame, disappearing into the ruins. Gu Fei also retreated. If he did not leave, the evil incarnation would have targeted him. The evil incarnation was very powerful. It was an existence that was extremely difficult to provoke. So far, Gu Fei had no way to deal with this evil incarnation. As expected, after the Fire Emperor and Gu Fei left, a black shadow quickly appeared in the void. Then, the black shadow disappeared into thin air as if it had never appeared in the first place. At this time, some experts who chased after Gu Fei and the Fire Emperor to watch the battle also discovered the ruins of the ancient heavenly court. Everyone was incomparably shocked. No one thought that there would be such a huge ruin in the depths of the starry sky. In an instant, the southern mountains were shaken. Very quickly, the news spread across the 5 regions of the heaven realm. All the forces were alarmed. Some even read the words Southern Heaven Gate. Therefore, the news of the appearance of the ancient heavenly court spread, and the entire cultivation world of the heaven realm was in an uproar. The ancient legend turned out to be true. In the incomparably distant past, there really was a heavenly court. Not long after, even the major forces of the human realm knew about this matter. Without any hesitation, the major forces immediately sent their experts into the starry sky of the heaven realm to the ruins of the ancient heavenly court. Even the experts of the human realm came. The ancient heavenly court was a legendary existence. It was incomparably ancient and appeared before the mythological era. It was 2 great eras away from the current era. Everything related to the ancient heavenly court had been annihilated in the endless passage of time, leaving no trace behind. But now, the ancient heavenly court had appeared. All the cultivators were extremely curious. Very soon, countless experts gathered in the depths of the starry sky. Many people even built a stronghold outside the ancient heavenly court and a teleportation formation platform. The Southern Mountains God Emperor also came. In fact, he had been here for a long time because he saw Gu Fei and the Fire Emperor enter the ancient heavenly court with his own eyes. Chapter 29-22. After a few days, Gu Fei and the Fire Emperor still hadn't come out from the ruins of the ancient heavenly court. Back then, many people had seen them enter the ruins of the ancient heavenly court. Very soon the news spread. Everyone was shocked. Could it be that Gu Fei and the Fire Emperor were lost inside? It was also because of this that some true experts were very wary of the ruins of the ancient heavenly court and didn't want to enter easily. Some people thought that there was great danger inside. However, although the big figures were hesitating, they still drove many small figures into the southern heaven's gate. This was the sorrow of the small figures in the cultivation world, because this time, they had once again become cannon fodder for the big figures, exploring the path for the big figures. One had to know that in these ruins from countless years ago, there were definitely all kinds of unexpected dangers. Stepping into the ancient ruins meant that they could die at any time. No one wanted to die, but the small figures had no choice. The small figures definitely didn't dare to resist the big figures, because resisting would usually make them die faster. Of course, to a certain extent, although the small figures were exploring the path for the big figures, they also had the chance to turn things around and become big figures. This was because the ancient ruins might be hiding heaven-defying fortunes. This was especially true for ruins like the ancient heavenly court. Perhaps in these ruins, there were cultivation methods, divine pills, divine medicines, and so on left by the predecessors. As long as they obtained these things, the small figures would have a chance to turn things around. However, there were very few lucky people. Most people still became cannon fodder in the end. They would never be able to turn things around, and they would never be able to get rid of their status as cannon fodder. Suddenly, several miserable screams rang out near the southern heaven's gate. All the big figures gathered outside the southern heaven's gate hurriedly looked in that direction. They saw black smoke rising from that direction. A few cultivators came into contact with the black smoke and screamed as they turned into black dust that scattered on the ground. The cultivators in that direction immediately fled in all directions in fear. Some experts directly rushed over and used their great magic to disperse the black smoke. After the black smoke dispersed, a left hand that hadn't completely rotted was revealed on the ground. The left hand was cut off at the wrist, and there was black smoke lingering around it. A rotten smell spread out from the left hand. Beside the severed hand was a stone slab that had been flipped open. The bigwigs outside the heavenly court ruins were shocked to see this. This severed hand that hadn't completely decayed had instantly killed several cultivators. Could it be that this severed hand was actually chopped off by someone during a great battle? Clearly, those people had moved away a stone slab that was pressing on this left hand. Then, the black gas rushed out and corroded those people into black dust. Although the black she was dispersed by the expert, the broken arm was still a big problem. Even the expert was unwilling to touch it. This was a black-haired, middle-aged man. He was tall and had a mighty appearance, giving off an extremely powerful feeling. The black-haired middle-aged man was a saint, and the aura of the divine path emanated from his body. Many cannon fodder looked on in fear from afar. The black-haired middle-aged man thought for a moment before he stretched out his right hand and grabbed the severed hand on the ground. Powerful saint force condensed into a huge azure hand that grabbed the severed hand. However, when the azure hand that was condensed from saint force grabbed the severed hand, black smoke immediately emerged from the azure hand. The black smoke even surged towards the black-haired middle-aged man through the Saint Wei laws. The black-haired middle-aged man was extremely shocked. It was the first time he had encountered something like this. The strange power that emerged from the severed hand was actually able to corrode his Saint Wei laws. Damn it! The black-haired middle-aged man roared and tried to sever the Saint Wei laws. However, even though he had severed the Saint Wei laws, the dark power continued charging towards him. At that moment, the severed hand actually flew up and slapped towards the black-haired middle-aged man. A wave of dark power erupted from the severed hand, causing the entire space around it to be destroyed. The vast dark power from the severed hand obliterated all Saint Wei laws, and it instantly enveloped the black-haired middle-aged man. The black-haired middle-aged man only felt his body tighten, as if he had been grabbed by an invisible hand. His shock was no small matter. In the next moment, a layer of black smoke surged onto his face. Ah! The black-haired middle-aged man let out a shrill cry. His entire body seemed like a black clay figurine, and he shattered into a clump of black dust that dispersed into the air. What? Everyone was extremely shocked at the sight of this. It was truly unbelievable that an extremely powerful saint had died just like that. Moreover, he had died completely. Both his body and soul had been destroyed. Everyone looked at the severed hand in a different light. However, at that moment, the severed hand fell from the sky, and the surging dark power began to retract before completely vanishing. It was as if it had never appeared in the first place. At that moment, no one dared to approach the severed hand anymore. All of them hid far away, and the cannon fodder became even more terrified. Continue. Outside the ruins of the ancient heavenly court, an ancestor-level existence ordered. In the eyes of such existences, all living beings that entered the ruins of the ancient heavenly court were existences akin to ants. If they died, then so be it. No one would care. However, a saint had just died, and this made an emperor of the heaven realm very unhappy. This emperor was a famous emperor of the heaven realm, the Mystic Emperor. The Mystic Emperor was an emperor of a generation. His cultivation was extremely powerful, and he could compete with any emperor in the heaven realm. The celestial emperor's palace stopped outside the ruins of the ancient heavenly court. It was a divine palace that was completely refined from purple gold godly iron. At the same time, it was also an extremely powerful saint tool. The place where the Mystic Emperor's palace was located was filled with purple chi. There was a powerful Tao rhythm that disrupted the laws of heaven and earth. The entire void where the Mystic Emperor's palace was located seemed to have turned into another world. Around the Mystic Emperor's palace, there was a huge teleportation formation that floated in the void. Countless followers of the Mystic Emperor stood on the teleportation formation. This was an emperor. He definitely had no lack of followers. There were many experts under him. The death of a saint did not bother the Mystic Emperor at all. It was easy to have casualties when exploring this kind of ancient ruins. When the palace of the moon deities appeared, countless living beings had died. Outside the palace of the moon deities, there was a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Back then, those living beings rushed to the palace of the moon deities one after another. They were all for the inheritance of the moon deities. That was a great opportunity. If they could get the inheritance of the moon deities and become the descendant of the moon deities, they could become the strongest in the world. Who did not want to become the strongest that could make the world tremble? No one could get the inheritance of the moon deities. Countless living beings had fallen, and in the end, they had fulfilled the sovereign evil thought. At this time, the area around the palace of the moon deities had already turned into a kingdom of death. Some people compared the palace of the moon deities to the forbidden area of the heaven realm. No one dared to enter it easily. At this time, the other old ancestors of the heaven realm also urged the countless living beings under them to continue exploring this ancient ruins. Many emperors seemed to be very careful. Among the emperors, there was a relationship of competition. Some emperors saw that a saint had died on the Mystic Emperor's side. They could not help but gloat and ridicule. In the Mystic Emperor's palace, on the throne in the main hall, the Mystic Emperor's face was very ugly. The group of experts in the main hall were silent, and did not dare to breathe. Boom! Soon, a loud noise came. A black light rushed up from the bottom of a collapsed stone tower 100 miles away from the southern heavenly gate. Then, the black light bloomed as if it was evolving and shrouded the area with a radius of 10 miles. In the next moment, shrill cries rang out in the surroundings. Countless living beings in the region had their bodies penetrated by the black light, and their souls were obliterated. They perished just like that. What? What happened this time? All the Emperor's eyes were attracted again. At this time, countless living beings died and blood seeped into the ground. Then, a roar came from the underground palace of the stone tower. In the next moment, a figure rushed out from the underground palace of the stone tower. It was a fierce beast that looked like a qilin, but this fierce beast had 3 heads. Even the emperors outside the ancient heavenly court had never seen or heard of such a living being. Moreover, this ferocious beast was actually just a phantom formed from black gas. There was an ancient beast sealed under the stone tower. However, after countless years, this ancient beast had already fallen. This was just an immortal evil thought of this beast. However, this evil thought had existed for countless years. Now that it was released, the combat power that it displayed made the Emperor's hearts palpitate. Roar! The strange beast formed by the black gas roared at the sky. Although there was no sound, everyone could hear an incomparably shocking roar. This was a feeling that came from the soul. With just a single pounce, the beast instantly traversed 50 kilometers and pushed a saint to the ground. After that, the saint's energy, essence, and spirit were instantly devoured by the beast. In just a few breaths of time, a powerful saint had been turned into a dried corpse by the beast, and his energy, essence, and spirit had been completely devoured. This scene was truly too strange. That was a saint, yet he'd actually died just like that. All the cultivators who'd entered the ruins of the ancient heavenly court felt that it was very unreal. Since when did saints become so weak? Roar! The beast formed from black gas roared towards the sky. After it devoured the energy, the black gas around it grew denser, and the aura of death it emanated grew even stronger. Run!